Hugely comes up with three, absolutely monstrous.
That's two for Virus, and you better believe there's more to come.
Oh, they're doing it. They're doing it.
Sparkle's got so many tools in his arsenal.
So here's Gator, pretty scary stuff. This has absolutely been Fearless as turf.
Oh, oh my goodness!
They're headed to Hot Boy Summer.
Welcome to the Watchpoint pre-show presented by State Farm. I am your host, Jonathan Reinforced Larsson, and with me, as always, the ever so lovely Scott Costa Kennedy and Danny, Lessons Learned Lim. Here we are, final day of the Summer Showdown.
Yep.
And we've learned some lessons, Danny.
We did. We learned a lot of lessons, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of things happened, and I am just wiser now. I am smarter than yesterday. Bigger brained.
Danny Wise Lim. Maybe in the Countdown Cup, we'll see.
Costa, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, can you give me just a tidbit? What did you learn? What was the #1 lesson that made you so wise?
One word: leave.
Yeah,
Leave.
true.
All right.
We're all enlightened.
Thank you for gracing us with your wisdom, Danny. Lessons Learned Lim.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate it as always. It's day 3 here at the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown, and we're about to wrap up the action with one final match, of course. But how did we end up here? How did the teams qualify for the final, you might ask? Well, let us run you through it. We had 2 very exciting eliminations matches yesterday, 3 in total, but 2 that actually matter in the outcome of who actually qualified for the finals. And we'll run you through them, starting off with our winner bracket finals between the Chengdu Hunters and the Shanghai Dragons. A very eventful, exciting, high-paced, high-caliber kind of winner bracket final here between the Chengdu Hunters and the Shanghai Dragons. We saw wrecking ball compositions, tracer mirrors. It was all over the place, back and forth, and we went to map 5 here, Costa. What did we see from these 2 teams that ended up with Shanghai Dragons qualifying for the finals?
It was really interesting because at the start of the series in the first 2 maps, it was like, oh, Shanghai's just going to run away with this. They are the better team. It's all going to come together for them. And that's what a lot of us expected. But Chengdu, they took the Shanghai to the Chengdu zone for just a little bit. On Eichenwalde and on Watchpoint Gibraltar, Chengdu Hunters came alive. They worked something out. And we actually heard it a little bit from Lip in his post-game interview of Chengdu kind of solved them at that little bit. And it made it really hard. It forced the map 5, but then the Shanghai Dragons sort of countered the counter to their counter, and then they ended up getting the series. So that makes it even more interesting heading into this match today because they only played 24 hours ago. There's not a whole lot of new strategies change from both of these teams that can be made in that short period of time. So I'm excited to see if either teams are going to try something new or if they're just going to stick to their guns, because the only real difference we saw between these 2 teams yesterday was Late Young on that Zaya. He really sort of picked it up and gave, I guess, Chengdu a different win condition to what the Shanghai Dragons were trying to do, but unfortunately that wasn't enough to get them over the line yesterday. Will it be enough to get them over the line today?
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, of course, we went to map 5, we went the entire distance here on Busan. We saw Shanghai Dragons lay down the shatter onto the Chengdu Hunters, and that is what earned them their place in the finals. And with that match, of course, Fleda, he joins the very special club of getting 10,000 eliminations all time in the Overwatch League. He is the 6th
Round of
player to do so.
applause.
Yeah, there you go,
Round of applause for Fleda.
Let's go,
Congratulations,
Fleda!
you don't see it. A very unique club here because we have Profit at #1. He has almost 12,000 eliminations. I mean, that is absurd. Carpe in this, where he's played since 2018 with the Philadelphia Fusion, Fate, Fury, Gesture. So it's a limited club only, 10,000 eliminations. So we're all very happy for Fled, of course, being able to join.
I have a
here.
question.
Yeah.
Where do you think Costa would be in this?
Oh, I'm almost there. I think I finished, if I remember correctly, around 9,500. I'm pretty close to the 10,000 mark. I'm pretty
Really?
sure, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like 7 or 8 in the list, if I remember correctly.
You were that good?
Don't check me on that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it's around there.
We'll let him have that one, Danny. Don't say anything. We'll let him have that one. And we'll move on to talk about, of course, our lower bracket finals that we played late last night. It was between the Chengdu Hunters and the Dallas Fuel for that final spot in today's Summer Showdown finals. The Dallas Fuel, they fought their way here, beating the Atlanta Reign in the initial lower bracket round, where they took down the Atlanta Reign in a 5-map series. But here, they stumbled upon the Chengdu Hunters, who of course lost to the Shanghai Dragons. But Chengdu Hunters, they made quick work of the Dallas Fuel here, Danny.
Yeah, I remember talking to Sparkle after they beat the Atlanta Reign, and he told me that, you know, they weren't playing Wrecking Ball, not because Fearless couldn't play it, but because they were, you know, they knew that they could beat the Chengdu Hunters and beat any team with the Winston composition. So knowing that going into the match, like we expected, they played the Winston composition, that fast tempo playstyle, but it just wasn't enough to take down the Chengdu Hunters. The Monk always just seemed to have transcendence, like every second for Doha's EMP, or Sparkle's even and Blade to just sort of counter all that. And you know, in the end, it was a 3-0 like you mentioned. So Chengdu Hunters really proving that, you know, they are the winners and they are going to go up against the Shanghai Dragons. Dallas Fuel, on the other hand, GG's, they did a really good job, and I'm still very excited to see them in the Countdown Cup.
Absolutely, third place, nothing to be sad about, of course. I mean, they've put themselves in a scenario where if you don't get first or second, you have to be pretty disappointed if you're Dallas Fuel. But, you know, big picture stuff, getting third place in the Summer Showdown, nothing to be sad about if you're a Dallas Fuel fan, especially, you know, if you remember your roots, 2018, 2019, it was a rough matter, okay? So getting third, don't be too sad about this one. That leaves us with 2 more teams in the Summer Showdown final. So as we take a look at the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown bracket, we can see that we have remaining, of course, in this tournament, the Chengdu Hunters and the Shanghai Dragons for that upper bracket finals rematch. So much exciting stuff to be awaiting this match here today. I also did get word, of course, that we've got Custos elimination statistics, 2,096 eliminations.
That's close.
For you all.
That's almost 10,000, right? You add a
you
couple
have
of
less than
thousand.
a fifth of profits.
That's but that's
Honestly, I expected it to be lower. That's kind of high.
What?
2,000.
What do you mean 2,000? Okay, well, I'm a support. I'm just gonna
Almost
hide behind
5K. Halfway there.
Yeah.
that. Well,
Yeah.
no.
I mean, it's nothing to be sad about. It's a big number, okay? 2,096. I'm all for it. I'm all for giving Custos some credit here in this show. Today is all about celebrating Overwatch League history. So if we want to celebrate Custos' short-lived career, we can do that here on the Watchpoint pre-show presented by State Farm. Of course, 1 match remains here in the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown. How did we get here? We had 40 Summer Showdown qualification matches, 6 knockout series, and 5 playoff bouts. And here we are to round out our 3rd out of 4 stages in the Overwatch League 2021 season. So, you know, as we wrap up today, we haven't quite done it yet, but as we close out the 3rd stage here, Danny, what are some of the lessons we can take with us as we head into the Countdown Cup?
I think the biggest lesson that I learned is the fact that Chengdu Hunters is a team that we should all take more seriously. Like, I know we, you know, joke about being the Chengdu zone and they have this wacky playstyle, but I think in the Summer Showdown playoffs especially, they showed us that they are much more than that. And like, even in the qualifiers, I remember we were saying, you know, APAC region, it's Shanghai Dragons and everyone else, but then that's clearly not the case now. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And as we, of course, go into our Summer Showdown finals, thinking back to our May Melee and June Joust finals, we considered the top 3 for the May Melee. It was the Florida Mayhem, Dallas Fuel, and Shanghai Dragons. For our June Joust, it was the Dallas Fuel, Shanghai Dragons, and the Atlanta Reign. But this time around, the Dallas Fuel, they go out in 3rd place here, Costa, and we left hanging with 2 APAC teams who have been incredibly impressive and so much fun to watch, primarily because they play this Wrecking Ball and the Tracer composition. What are some of the lessons we can take with us from the meta as we get closer to the Countdown Cup, Costa?
I think if you're the West, this is the first time this season that they've really missed, I think, on what should be played. The East has had a much better grasp with their Wrecking Ball style. It just feels way more versatile. It feels like it's more solid. And the West hasn't really had an answer to it throughout the entire tournament. And I'm expecting to see some adjustments for the West moving into the Countdown Cup of we need to start sort of dealing and learning from this Wrecking Ball composition, because they can't just keep having their head in the sand, keep playing the Reinhardt, keep playing the Winston. They need to be integrating some Wrecking Ball, because this is the 2nd tournament in a row that the West has fallen to an Eastern team's Wrecking Ball. So I want to see them start adopting more of this Wrecking Ball style. And we actually have a tweet here from Masar who sort of highlighted the same thing, because we have hero pools heading into the Countdown Cup. He said APAC definitely had a better read on the meta this time. Now to see what support gets banned for next tournament, to see if Ball Dive needs to be imported to NA. And I think that's such an important point that Masar is saying, is as much as they struggled to go out, they definitely didn't have the right read. And that same can be said for the entire Western region. Nobody played the Wrecking Ball style, you know, predominantly throughout the entire season. So I want to see more of that from the West so that they can start competing with the East, because it's going to be important as we head closer to playoffs, because that's when you're going to need to have that diversity and flexibility on all types of compositions.
Absolutely. And the Countdown Cup, it starts on July 30th. So put that down in your calendars, July 30th for the Countdown Cup. Well, the Summer Showdown, it is of course not over yet. We have 1 more match to go. We will be previewing the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown finals right after this break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Welcome back to the Watchpoint Pre-Show presented by State Farm. It is time for one of our favorite segments here on the Watchpoint Pre-Show. It is Emote Control presented by State Farm. So many amazing moments this past weekend. And I'm not just saying that because it's Emote Control. I really mean it. There were some really fun moments.
Yep.
Danny, why don't you kick us off with one of your favorite moments this weekend?
All right, I'll go first. My favorite moment of this weekend was Lip's EMP yesterday against the Shanghai Dragons, the first map, Ilios Lighthouse. I remember talking to Lip, and he said, he knew that, he had to get those two because even if he had to sacrifice himself, like he knew that if he was able to take out Farah or the Mercy, they would have a better chance of winning that team fight. So he took one for the team. He sacrificed himself, taking down the Mercy with him. Unfortunately, Farah, he couldn't take down the Farah, but after that, they were able to win the fight. So my emote was, was just Lip. This was I was just imagining Lip's expression. He would have probably been like this, like, "Hey, go forth, my team. I will sacrifice myself for our win. Please win this for me." Yes, yeah. Go, my teammates, my friends! Win!
I just can't get over how ridiculous that was. It just like out of nowhere, he's just like looking at them, and I was like, he's gonna go for it, isn't he? And he just, he's
gonna do it.
You gotta respect the commitment.
I got the same feeling with like the front graviton surge when he flew on the roof on Point A Hollywood. Where it's like he's gonna grab over the roof, and I literally stood up in the room and said that as it was happening. I got the same feeling with the Lip EMP here. Costa, why don't you go next here? And I know what you got coming. This is an all-timer.
This was an all-timer, as Johnny said. This was probably one of the worst C9s we've had throughout this season, and it's just... I think Sparkle was just trying to force the Chengdu Hunters back to the point, and then he realized about halfway through, he's like, they're not going to make it. Even Doa's like, I'm primaling, they're not going to make it. And they don't make it. And absolutely, I haven't seen this in such a long time that like nobody could touch the point. So, hey, Chengdu Hunters feeling charitable, giving Dallas Field a point.
I mean, this is one of the worst ever.
Wait,
and I love the emote here as well. What was that, Danny?
No, I was just saying, if it's is this called a charity night? If they were charitable?
Charity night. Wow.
Oh,
Danny, that's a bit of a pun. I love the emote here. Proper Pulp Fiction reference as well. we need to get that printed. I love that. For my moment, of course, this weekend, not gameplay related actually. We had plenty of moments, but I had to go with the one and only takeaway from Dragons Diner, the segment that we aired earlier this weekend. Matt Miss Rex disappearing. The people needed him. He's going to the Chengdu zone.
To the Chengdu zone!
To the Chengdu zone! I love this one.
I want to know why Matt's hitting his chest. What's the point of this?
You know what? We should ask him.
Yeah, we'll ask him later. Okay.
Because I remember, I don't think that was in the script. I don't know why he's hitting his chest like that.
I just disappeared. I just faded away.
Oh, you're fighting with him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Together. We've lost Johnny also to the Chengdu zone.
It was I don't know what's wrong with my Farah boosters, but I just like a balloon in the wind, just like whoop, and then it just went the other way. I love
legs,
it.
Man. Those legs get me every time. Oh my god.
Yeah. They're so good. Finally, of course, Zoe's not on the desk, but we do miss her so very much. We want her back dearly for the Countdown Cup. We are very happy, though, that she's found a friend over in Hawaii. And it's none other than...
Carl!
Carl! It's Carl!
Carl!
You love it.
Carlson!
Yeah.
This was just a great. I was on the edge of my seat throughout the entirety of yesterday, looking at these game breaks. Zoe and Carl went through a real. It was one of the best movies I've seen in a while, as you can tell. A real nail biter.
Yeah, nail biter. Danny, what are you up to?
Oh, my emote? You know, it's just I'm embracing the YouTube chat energy. You know, it's like, oh, is that Carl? That's Carl, right, guys? Carl, that's Carl. Yeah. I'm pointing out.
Johnny, what are you doing?
Well, I figured I'd mimic the reference, right? So you know the Carl meme. Like this was my best Walking Dead impression of Carl.
Okay.
Come on, Carl. Carl. So. Yeah, a bit of a shout out there for The Walking Dead, of course. Love this. I mean, the Carl ball. Can we save that as like a prop, like a souvenir? Like I want Carl back. I just want him to be around the Overwatch League for many years to come. That is your remote control presented by State Farm. So many fun moments, and I bet you will have some more incredible moments coming up in the finals as well. We're going to preview that Coca-Cola Summer Showdown finals right after this break. We'll break down all the action. Prepare you for everything, okay? Everything you need coming up right after this break. Just stay tuned. It's gonna be great.
UH Manoa, I miss you guys.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back to the Watchpoint pre-show presented by State Farm. We've got one more match to go here in the Summer Showdown, and it's going to be a fantastic one. We're about to preview all of the action, break it down for you, get yourself ready for what's about to come down. Over the course of the weekend, of course, we've had dominant performance on all kinds of heroes, but one hero in particular, and you guessed it, you're right, it's the one in the Overwatch League logo. What else? Okay, I know some of you are upset, you know, Tracer's overpowered and what have you, but it wouldn't make sense to have Torbjorn as the Overwatch League logo, would it? So, as we take a look at the power rankings, powered by IBM Watson, I'm not having this conversation right now. We can take a look at the Tracer players in the Summer Showdown finals. Profit, of course, #1 here for the Seoul Dynasty. Not really what we're looking for, though. We're looking at Lip at #3. We're looking at Leave at #5 and Fled at #6. 3 out of the 6 best Tracer players, according to Watson, are participating in this Summer Showdown finals. Now, Lip, I suspect that he'll play majority of the time Sombra instead because he's so proficient at that hero too. So it's going to be the #5 Leave taking on the #6 Fleda. An incredible storyline, really, if you think about it. Fleda, of course, he was the MVP of last year because of his versatility, because of his echo play. He was so fantastic on that hero. Tracer, though, he had it in his wheelhouse, but he was never ever really the best Tracer player around. He couldn't really match up with the striker of the San Francisco Shock. Well, Leave is here, and he's trying to make a statement himself, vouch for his MVP candidacy this year, so that's going to be an epic Tracer battle to look out for. Another hero that we've seen a ton of this weekend, of course, is Wrecking Ball Danny. Tons of great Wrecking Ball players around the league, but some of the best participating in this very finals, Danny.
That is true. As we see in the ball power rankings right here, Fate #1 and Gaga #2. I do want to point out that they're the only 2 players that have above 100 points. 100 points is a league average, so this basically means they're the only two players that sort of are able to have impact on the Wrecking Ball hero. Of course, Gaga and the Chengdu Hunters, they've been using Wrecking Ball a lot throughout the whole season up until now. And Fate on that Wrecking Ball was the player that sort of got the Shanghai Dragons the championship for the June Joust last tournament. So expect to see a lot of Wrecking Ball plays and a lot of great plays from these 2 main tank players.
Absolutely, and to reference as well, that 100 rating, that's across all heroes and all players, right? So that's why the math doesn't really add up, you know, you're like, why are there only 2 players above average? Well, you count all the heroes. With Wrecking Ball, of course, comes a lot of chaos, a lot of fast pace, and sometimes as a viewer, you can get a little bit lost among all the madness. But trust me, the pro players, they know exactly what they're doing, and it's all calculated. So usually when we consider the Chengdu Hunters, we like to meme about the Chengdu Hunters. We say like, hey, they're the wonky team, you know? You never know what hero Jinwoo is going to pick. He can be on the Torbjorn, the Genji, they're a bit all over the place, they're loose, they're having fun. Maybe it's time to dispel that rumor itself about the Chengdu Hunters, because they are now in the finals of the Summer Showdown, one of 2 teams in the entire league remaining. And as we take a look at that illustration from their match yesterday against the Dallas Fuel, we can see some of that synergy coordination come into action. So here we are, the very final fight on Control Center Lijiang Tower between the Chengdu Hunters and the Dallas Fuel. As you can see, overtime is ticking. Now, Jexay is going to drop the sound barrier for the Dallas Fuel, and Monk is going to counter with the Transcendence to keep his team alive here. So what I really want you to emphasize on here and focus on here is the Discord Orb really, and how good the focus fire is for the Chengdu Hunters. So Doha goes down to the Discord Orb early, and next up, Fielder. Fielder has the Discord Orb on him, and that's going to be the focus target of the of the Chengdu Hunters. Now, it is of course going to spot over to Fearless, but the call still remains. The initial call was to kill Fielder, and he's going to go down very rapidly. Next up, Discord Orb applied immediately onto Hanbin. He's locked in. This is where the Chengdu Hunters focus next, and you can see the mech just blows up. Like, it's gone in an instant. So you can see here that the focus fire is incredible, and they shut down Sparkle here. He's going to pull his blade, and there's not only one person in front of him peeling, of course. There's 2, because Eveltal is behind Late Young Steve mech there as well. They shut down Sparkle. So incredible focus fire here from the Chengdu Hunters. Now, taking a look at Late Young's perspective in this fight as well, a player we haven't really talked about, we can see that Doha has that Discord Orb on him, and Late Young is going to focus on him, and immediately, as soon as the Translocate comes out, he's going to fly up, he knows where Doha is, and he's going to deal with the threat, take him down. That's a man advantage for the Chengdu Hunters. Now, look how proactive Late Young is here, because he got a pick, immediately goes back to Monk and Yveltal and peels for his team. The Discord Orb goes out, as we said, on fielder, he's already there. He peeled and then he goes aggressive with the Discord Orb to try to get some value. Now it's time to peel again. The Discord Orb, it goes over to Hanbin, and you know where your boy is at. He's already on it, trying to deal with the mech. Sparkle comes in for a flank. Where does Leighton go? Time to peel. The Dragon Blade comes out but gets no value from Sparkle. So you can really see how proactive and how efficient the Chengdu Hunters are. Whether it's going for the Discord Orb target, whether it's for peeling for your support, they're always up to something. So maybe this narrative that it's all chaos, it's all over the place, should be dealt with a little bit. The Chengdu Hunters, they're a fantastic team, and they definitely deserve to be in this Summer Showdown finals, excuse me. Late Young, of course, we talked about him there, Costa, on that Diva. But a hero who did favor yesterday as well was the Zarya, a bit of a dark mystery kind of pick for the Chengdu Hunters.
Yeah, Lei Young is someone who sort of got thrown into the fire very recently because Elsa retired. So Lei Young's been stepping up, and I think he's been doing a phenomenal job. Something that he really his secret sauce that he brings to his Chengdu Hunters team is his Zarya, and you can see his statistics right here on the screen. First on hero damage, out of 16 players, by the way. First in hero damage, 4th in final blows, 5th on average energy. And I want to highlight the most important thing, Graviton Surge kills, because in my opinion, that is the important element that Late Young Zarya brings to these sort of mirror composition. The only real difference is Late Young on this Zarya, and his Graviton Surge gives them another win condition. It gives them a way to sort of force the Shanghai Dragons to not group up, forces Izayaki to not use his Transcendences in a way where he's just running into the backline with them and stuff like that. He needs to save them, and that's giving them more win conditions. And I think that's how they got the edge in the 3rd and 4th map against the Dragons when they played yesterday. So I want to see them lean more into this. Stick to what you're good at, stick to your style, and I think that might give them the edge today.
Absolutely, but when you play the Zarya, you miss the defense matrix, way less protection for your team
course.
as well, and that opens the door for players like Izayaki, for Monk. Danny, you've loved talking about Monk yesterday as well and how impactful he was for the Chengdu Hunters. So if we compare the two Senyaras and their statistics, we can see that Izayaki, he is very lethal. You can see the hero damage, he leads that versus Monk, 6,500 per 10 minutes, 5.3 final blows per 10 minutes. So you can also quickly get a glimpse of how good both of these Senyara players are and the impact they can have on this game. Now, the finals, of course, the Summer Showdown finals is a best of 7 series. We don't really have a lot of those around the league, but when it comes down to it, when the best teams are on the line, that's when we extend the series and go to 7. Loser's pick is, of course, in play here, so if you lose a map, you get to pick the next one. This could be very important, Costa, as we take a look at both of their teams and their map win rate so far in the Summer Showdown.
Yeah, something we haven't really talked about so far in this Summer Showdown is the losers being able to choose their map, and that's why he's had so many map 5 bangers. As you can see here, I'm looking at Hunter's best maps. They are 4-0 on Eichenwald, Gibraltar, Route 66, and King's Road. Escort-heavy maps. That seems to be where they get their most amount of success so far in the Summer Showdown. But if we look at the Shanghai Dragons, it's a much longer list because they have, what is that, 7 or 8? That's 7 different maps in which they haven't lost a single map on these ones. And the only consistent factor between both of these teams for hero maps that they haven't lost on is King's Row. So there is a lot of choice and picking and choosing that they can do to play to their strengths. So that is why I think this match is going to go the whole distance, because they both have their styles, not only in the way that they play the game, but also in map types that they thrive at.
Absolutely. The Summer Showdown Finals is right around the corner. We, of course, have to give our predictions first. Zoe's not on the desk, but she's in Hawaii. She has something up her sleeve. Let's take a look at what Zoe goes with in this matchup.
Oh, hey guys! So somewhere in the Chengdu zone, there's a team which can face them head on, or even pull a sweep. I mean a sweep. A sweep. I admit, so far my pick'ems, they went up in flames. I picked the wrong teams to win the games. But for my final Summer Showdown pick, I'm gonna go for a risky one. I admit, Chengdu. No, I'm in their zone. I'm in their zone. Shanghai. I'm feeling good about that one. It's gonna be Shanghai. Yep, Shanghai.
The ever so talented Zoe, she goes with the Shanghai Dragons in this matchup, and I don't really blame her. I mean, they've been a favorite throughout this entire tournament. Costa, as we get closer to the Summer Showdown finals, which of these two teams will you be picking?
I can't sing or play the ukulele. Only thing I'm really good at is predicting, but I'm actually agreeing with Zoe on this one with the Shanghai Dragons. I think they've looked like the dominant team throughout the entire Summer Showdown. I don't see Chengdu Hunters really rising up and getting over them in this series.
Danny?
You know, I'm not good at singing, I'm not good at playing the ukulele, and I'm not great at predicting either, but I'm really good at copying homework, so I'm gonna copy Costa and go with Dragons.
I was supposed to say that. Come on! Danny!
No, but I do. You know, I think, you know, as much as I love Leave and Monk and everyone on the Chengdu Hunters, I think on paper, and as of right now, like the record shows, you know, Dragons are just the better team as of right now, in my personal opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I completely agree with you. I'm going with the Shanghai Dragons as well. Chengdu Hunters, they have been impressive. Bit of an upset chance here, of course, with the way especially Leave has been playing for this team, but I think we're all in unison. Yes, we are. The Shanghai Dragons are the favorites to win this one. Now, there's only one thing left to do, but before I send it over to our casters, I would like to show you the Overwatch League stage tally as we head into our 16th stage final of the Overwatch League history. We've had 15 teams actually participate in the stage finals. Only 9 franchises have ever won a stage finals. So we take a look here. We can see the Shanghai Dragons, they've won 4 stage finals themselves. San Francisco Shock, they have 3. York Excelsior 2, London Spitfire 1, that was the first ever one. Valiant won 1, believe it or not. Vancouver Titans, Paris Eternal, Guangzhou Charge, and Dallas Fuel won their first ever stage finals earlier this year in the main melee. The only team who has ever won back-to-back stage finals is the York Excelsior. They did so in 2018, stage 2 and stage 3. And so as I send it over to our casters, the ever so revered Mitch, Uber, Leslie, and Matt, Mr. X Morello, the Shanghai Dragons have an opportunity tonight to become the second ever team to win back-to-back stage finals. And considering their history, of course, they were the franchise that started out 0-42. And I know that Matt, Mr. X, he is one of the greatest fans of that legacy of a team right there.
Incredible.
This would be an incredible achievement, Matt.
Yeah, they just want to own the whole league. They want to own the worst team of all time, and then they want to approach the best franchise ever at the same time. It's pretty impressive how the organization is like turned around over the years. Because you go 0-40, I mean that is so difficult. I mean, we talk about going undefeated. It is so difficult to lose every game. But I really think this is it's not even really the beginning. It's like a kind of. But maybe they haven't been the champions like the Shock of like the whole league, but they've been so consistently good for so long. For me, that's the only way. Like me and Scott were talking about it earlier. It's Chengdu like has the talent to beat a team like Shanghai. Can they do it 4 times in one sit down though? I think that's the hard part.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think the numbers, there's definitely a feeling that the numbers favour Shanghai. I thought it was really interesting. I'm glad you guys brought up the map win records because it's clear to see that Shanghai have control and assault game types on lock, especially in this matchup. And that's what a map 5 normally is, right? Notwithstanding some sort of draw. So it's no surprise to see Shanghai come out. I really think you got 2 teams that excel in different areas and different maps, but play fairly similar comps. So we're going to have to let you guys go now, Des, but thank you, of course, for providing us with that prelude.
Trying to hit my jetpack. That was I was supposed to have a jetpack there. Right. Yes. Yeah, Hex wrote a jetpack into the script.
What's up with the fork hands, by the way?
Huh? Oh, what's up with the when we were recording it, I said I thought it would be kind of funny if my hands were forks, and then.
You know what? Yes, a little Sweeney Todd for my liking, but definitely, Matt. I like it was brought up here, by our friends on the watch point, just how often Shanghai is able to pull off these kind of performances. And for the Hunters, they're a team that has definitely gotten respect. They've definitely become regarded as a top team. They've never won a stage final. A lot of that probably has to do with the fact that they inhabit the same region as the Dragons. But last time these two played here in our Coca-Cola Summer Showdown playoffs, it was a map 5 affair. It was very close. This is a first of 4 though, so more opportunities, of course, to select maps that suit you more. And these 2 teams definitely have pools that don't cross over that heavily. Let's have a look at the Hunters here, Matt, because there's been a growing amount of momentum behind this idea of Leave as a top MVP candidate. This team has looked very, very scary so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Leave has been tremendous for Chengdu, but I think when you look at the Hunters, you know this roster, I know even with some of the players on the bench, have such incredibly talented individual players It's just been putting it together teamwork and strategy-wise that's always been a bit lacking. Throughout the Summer Showdown tournament here, we've seen them kind of hit those highs of highs, but we've also seen like crazy blunders, like we saw yesterday, just giving up the point, letting Dallas kind of back cap, which those are the things you can't do against the Shanghai Dragons. We can take a look at their roster. Will not be too much of a surprise for anybody who's been watching the last few weeks. This team, they have it all, right? Supremely talented and so well coached. They always seem to be on top of it in terms of strategy. Really, you just got to catch them on an off day.
What I'm really going to be looking at, Matt, is the matchup of off-tank players, right? It was mentioned how Late Young brings something a little bit different, a little special in the Zarya for the Hunters, and he is currently top in damage per 10 on that role. Void, as we know, prefers to play that D.Va. He's much more defensively and peel-oriented here, but he is absolutely an elite off-tank player. I'm interested to see how those two tweaks, those slight differences in these team strategies can cause a difference in playstyle. You notice that Nisha's here for the Hunters. Yep. And of course, we'll be keeping our eyes on Monk here because I love that we illustrated how effective he is at making sure those discords are on the right targets and they're followed up on.
Yeah, we have seen Nisha throughout the season for a lot of the Chengdu Hunters games here on Ilios, which will be the first map. Potentially, you see him kind of like play some, if they're going to play like Far Mercy or something along those lines. I think the control, though, typically is pretty difficult for Chengdu in the sense that they really love the chaos and the free-flowing of like the maps like, your escorts and your hybrids, where, this is really a fundamental game mode control. You play, obviously, a lot of the team fights are just straight up, who kind of has the best team engage and whatnot, where it doesn't allow for those kind of, half fights where people are kind of lingering around and then it kind of breaks down into just individual skill. That's really what Chengdu loves and thrives in.
And you say that, but the Shanghai Dragons, they have the highest teamfight win rate in the league at 60%. The next closest is the Fuel at 53%. And what's even more astonishing about this Dragons roster is that 32% of the time, they lose a player first in a fight and still manage to win it. By far, the highest number in the league. So when we talk about a more fundamental, play style or game style, that's where the Dragons thrive because they seem like they're born to teamfight. Control and these assault maps, they are pretty clean sheet on for a vast majority of the map pool. It plays to their strengths and it allows them to really start on a strong foot here once the game gets unpaused.
Yeah, and we do have a pause. I believe that is Shanghai calling for it. Lip at the start. Looks like he kind of disconnected from the lobby. Probably going to get him right back in there. But from what we've seen from Chengdu with what they've selected thus far, you'll have the Wrecking Ball composition. Looks like with a D.Va potentially. And then Nisha kind of hovering over the Lucio, but with Jinmu on the far, he's probably just going to speed boost, get them out of spawn rather quickly. Shanghai on the other side has Fleta hovering the Echo, potentially going to be playing the Echo. So that would be a very huge matchup if Fleta can kind of neutralize the Jinmu with that Far Mercy in the sky.
Speaking of which, let's have a look at some of Fleta's credentials here, Matthew. I think he's definitely someone who's got many eyes on him, and he earned the MVP last year, and of course that was enshrined in a special Echo skin because that was the hero with which Fleta got the most work done here. But I mean, even more recently, right, June Jars champions, that was an incredible matchup against the Dallas Fuel. It went absolutely all the way. We saw the Dragons able to really shift and adopt that same playstyle that Dallas were approaching, and they brought the ball in there. But this is an all-star for 3 years sort of in a row here. And of course, let's not forget his successes in the main melee and the Countdown Cup last year. An absolutely pivotal part of this team's success.
And you think about where Fleta was, like, in his career, even at, like, the, the beginning stages of the Overwatch League, right? With the Seoul Dynasty, there were times where they would, like, end up taking him out on certain maps and, like, trying to play other players. You think of, like, Wakid and Munchkin, like, early on. And everybody was wondering, like, well, is Fleta just a player who can get these really great stats and, make these individual plays? But is not one of these players that can kind of get you to a championship. And as soon as he joined Shanghai, he's become like the focal part of this team, really kind of leading them, in the damage dealer role. So we'll get right back into game. It'll get unpaused, and only a few seconds for the spawn doors to open. So like I mentioned, pay attention to the Jinmu Pharah versus potentially. Okay, so Fleda's going to play the Pharah as well. So we're going to have a Pharah v Pharah matchup.
Lip going to be on the Tracer here now, and our teams are about to meet in the battle in this first map of this first of 4 series. And yes, it's all on the line here. You have to say these two teams pretty familiar with one another. Jinmu familiar with that sensation. That was 2 air rockets connecting with him. Dominant is Fleta in the matchup right now. Need to get himself away from the ground as Jinmu is pursuing him another air shot though, and that's incredible. Izayaki, it's an easy single dart for him to pick off the Pharah.
Yeah, and I think one of the, obviously the biggest difference between these two compositions is Shanghai will end up taking the point first. Looks like Gun gets hacked, but they're not able to finish him off. He's actually going to be able to get out. Is Shanghai running the Tracer? I actually like the Tracer with this comp versus the Sombra. The Sombra, they're still trying to play around this hack and just use maybe some of that, Jinmu damage from far to finish them off. With the Tracer, you can just play so much more offensive. The Tracer can finish off these kills, that Flood is putting damage down on.
The Dragons have 2 great Tracer players, no doubt about it. Whichever one you have, you're set up for success. That's a ridiculous sleep dart connecting by Monk there, and he's able to find the Vita Grenade finish off on Fleta. The point was long since captured though, and the Hunters need to obviously try and regroup and make their way over there. They need to shrug off a little bit of this damage first, and that's what Monk and Nisha are up to. It's a minefield on the point here as Gaga really wants to try and canvas this. And Void just tanks a few of them there, gets a bit of healing with a Valkyrie Lee Jae-gon in play.
Well, he just, they have to use the minefield because they know how good the stall can be here for Shanghai, as the point is still not flipped. Lip going to connect with a pulse bomb, and Shanghai still controls the point. You have everybody back.
Jinmu didn't have mercy for a moment there. Nisha was busy bringing Monk back into the fight now, though the hack on Fleta, he drops off the edge. Perfect stuff there from Lee. Fleta couldn't do a damn thing about it. Jinmu tries to peek onto the point there, but he's taken down by Izayaki. Another manual hack onto Void, but he just takes 5. Backs around the corner, continuing to be healed, and the Dragons are still in control. Eventually, this has got to stop. Izayaki taken down eventually by Monk, and Void gets kept alive longer with the nano boost. Another manual hack required, and he's still got leave, Matt. Unreal. A resurrect attempt here. Leung can't interrupt it.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to get back in his mech, though. But you do have Fleta sitting on the outside of this point with the rocket barrage, as Lip will get another kill with a pulse bomb, as the Tracer being so effective here.
Fleta looking to duel out with Jinmu here, who's low. Looks like he took a hit from Izayaki elsewhere, but the EMP might ground this particular flight. Fleta going to try and hide on the low ground while he can. He's going to get pressured though now, and he's kind of stuck on the point. He finds a bit of altitude, but is still being pressured constantly by Jinmu. But Monk's gone down. Amongst all this fighting, Lip's able to make his way into the back line, but Jinmu strikes true, and both Anas are out of the picture, Matt.
Yeah, and Shanghai, they'll get this to 99, but that's about it. It's Void will finally be taken out. So Chengdu gets the point back. They already had 15%, so we'll kind of work our way from there as Lip gets slept. I mean, that's a few sleep darts already from Monk that have hit, whether it be the Pharah or this time the Tracer. Chengdu in a position though, Mitch, to keep this going and make this a very close round. You have 5 ultimates. You use 1 or 2 of these. You cycle back to an EMP. You can use that. You can win the next 2 fights with low ultimate usage.
2 barrages in place, so the weather forecast is looking particularly nasty, and Jinmu alights on top of Lip's corpse. He finds him with a barrage kill, but Fleta gets rid of leave now. The Nanobu's going to Jinmu, and the direct hit on Fleta is huge. Is there a resurrect opportunity here for Lee Jae-gon? He thinks about it, but no, decides to back away. Void protects him for a time, and a biotic grenade does very little to stifle Jinmu's aggressive tendencies. The Hunters remain in control, man, at 65 on the clock.
And that's what I mean, where you have the ultimates there for Chengdu. They only have to use the nano and the rocket barrage. Now you can build up towards this EMP, and you're going to be in a spot to take this round if you're Chengdu.
There's the barrage instantly blowing up Jinmu now. It's going to be a Valkyrie for Nisha. Looks like he maybe thought about going for the blaster, but a resurrect on these Pharah is unlikely at this time. Minefield makes it pretty dicey for Fate, but he's able to get off the point with his life intact, and Nisha doubles back for a Jinmu res. Can Fleta end it early again? He's forced to jump up now as Void is a self-destruct on the point that Lei Young definitely sidesteps. Rockets hitting Void's backside from Jinmu as it returns to the nest. And the Hunters are still in control. Now we're at 99% and Izuyaki's out of the picture. This could be it. Jinmu looking to finish off Void here and he's got a barrage to bring onto the point. It could already be over. Flutter goes down to the micro rockets and Jinmu cleans up Lip. Nowhere for Fate to run there as he gets bundled up into the corner. And it'll be Chengdu who get it done here in the first round.
And like I was talking about, they just had such a good string of ultimates and a decent amount of point percentage at that time where you can cycle, you know, 1 or 2 fights and then you're already up at like 70-80%. And they still had some ultimates left over for that fight as well. And they're able to steal that first point. As Shanghai gets to 99% first, Chengdu is at about 15% at that time. I thought you saw Nisha make a big impact there on the Mercy, able to get Jinmu with the res at the end with the Valkyrie, and he double back to the point to keep people healed up. Really nice Mercy play in that first point.
Yeah, having Jinmu sort of behind Void made it extra difficult for the Dragons to stall or sort of contest the point against Gaga, who just swings in, swings out, gets healed by Monk in the meantime. That's rough stuff. Here we go though now, Monk and Izuyaki both on the Zenyatta. Izuyaki is #1 in all stats on Zenyatta this season, but Monk has impressed us so far in this Summer Showdown Tournament. Lip on the Sombra.
Yeah, I mean, this is a fairly standard composition from Shanghai. So Monk will take Izuyaki out of range, but Leave playing the Ash is a completely different look.
Yeah, not much of a pacifist, this Monk, Matt, I'll be honest. He's going to push up, very aggressive. It's like we saw him on King's Road yesterday against the Fuel. He was front-lining his Zenyatta here. Such confidence.
You know, with the Ash, you kind of have the damage obviously at range, which here on Ruins, right, historically you've seen like Widowmaker and other heroes of that nature, but obviously they lose some damage close up by not having the Tracer, so it's really a lot on Monk to make up some of that damage, which he does in that first fight.
Leave pressuring the left-hand side, but the Dynamite doesn't catch this time around, and he realizes that he might need to just fall back to a safer spot. He hears the Tracer, I'm sure of it, on his right-hand side, but he's only his eyes for Lip right now, and he gets blown up. Flatter's able to find Leave, though. It looks like he was knocked forward by a pile driver. Nicely done there from Fate to set that one up, but Void is going to fall. Lei Young really going for the damage here, and now running headlong into an Izuyaki with a Discord Orb stuck to him, so he's able to get the kill as he pops out of the mech, and over the edge he goes.
And something Johnny talked about with these telestration in the Chengdu versus Dallas Fuel game is how they were able to follow up these Discord Orbs, and they're doing such a better job of that right now than the Shanghai Dragons, and really making Fate's life really tough on the Wrecking Ball. He tries to like pass through the points all the way to the Chengdu side of the map, go by the Mega Health Pack. He's got a Discord Orb on him, he's getting hacked, and then they also send Gaga back there to just track him, just roll around with him on the ball. Make a threat as Chengdu has a chance here to shut out Shanghai on this point.
EMP could be huge. Jinmu goes the more circuitous route, but he's able to catch onto Jagon, but not Izuyaki. The Transcendence is still available for the Dragons, and they use it to weather the initial storm. Monk uses the Transcendence of his own now, so both of those key ultimates are out of the picture. Leave has to coach counterways. He's being pressured down by Izuyaki of all people, and there's the later EMP. That means Gaga has no way to get away, and he is completely ruined. On the point now, there's going to be a rally here from Nisha. Jagon pops his as well, and Izuyaki has so much armor to work with, but Monk is hitting harder. Looks like the sword outplays the shield here. Void has to back away. He's extremely low, and Lei Young was threatening to demech him, but Leave has fallen. Monk has some armor to work with, but a Trace is costing him right now, and he's at 10 HP. He can't stay around, and that's going to hurt the Hunters in a big way. Fletter's been removed, but the Dragons already flipped back the point here. Fate needs to stall it. It's the minefield to start it off.
Yeah, but they may not be able to hold this for much longer. Jinmu gets a kill. You're going to have a self-destruct that comes in here for Lei Young. And you have more players for Chengdu coming back up the spawn as Leave switches over to the Tracer. An EMP available here for Jinmu as well. As Shanghai is going to have to get off the point and now try and get a touch.
Fletter desperately trying to keep this going, and Lip is going to have to do the same thing. It's going to be a rotation of Dragons players to try and keep this going, but they're getting EMP'd before they can touch the point. It's got to be Fate now. He's trying to make something happen to the backline, but no one's there to chase down the 8 HP. Jinmu somehow, Fletter, extra sensory perception allows him to find the Sombra, but it may not be enough. Lee Jagon's shield's up now. It's going to be Lip instantly blown up at the point after he EMPs. And Lee Jagon, that's it. No one else here for the Dragons, and the Hunters start the series by winning control.
It's a huge win here for Chengdu. Like I mentioned, control is not really their game. They like it to be a little bit more loose, free-flowing when you get to the escort and the hybrid map. So this is a really good sign for the Hunters. And those later fights started off good for Shanghai. Fleta actually got a pulse bomb onto Monk, which forced out his Transcendence, but they weren't able to take advantage of it.
Like Matthew said, a ridiculous start for the Hunters here on a map type that they're statistically expected not to win. That's what they need to do. Subvert expectations and go all the way. A great start for the Hunters here. I'm sure the Dragons have fire of their own in their belly. Stick around for map 2, people. It's coming right up.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Indeed, we help people get jobs. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
The Chengdu Hunters have achieved the dream start in this series against the Dragons. And Jinmu, you have to say, Matthew, a big part of that fantastic beginning on Ilios.
A tremendous player, whether it's the Pharah, Genji, Doomfist, Sombra now. He can just play so many different things and everything at such a high level that he's like one of the ultimate complement pieces in the league. You kind of look around of who kind of in the flex DPS spot can fill a lot of these different things at that high level. Jinmu's up there with the best, probably in an argument for it, where Chengdu, they steal map number 1. That is one that you probably favored the Shanghai Dragons in. They do make a sub as Equator comes in. We do go back to Temple of Anubis. So this was a map that we saw Shanghai play against Chengdu yesterday. They dominated them on it, spawn killed them on it. Right, and then Dallas did as well. The results for Dallas were not the same, though. Although they did get a back cap, it was not a good map for the Dallas Fuels. I think this is a test, though, Mitch, of Chengdu's kind of, like I mentioned, coaching and strategy. Like, they had to expect they were going to go to this map today. They made some adjustments against the Dallas Fuel.
What do you feel like those
adjustments
were?
did they see? Well, so they gave up on some of the Wrecking Ball type of stuff. I also think Dallas Fuel was quite an easier, probably, matchup for Chengdu than Shanghai in terms of Dallas was really kind of searching for what they should play, right? They were playing like Genji, they were trying to play some Echo. Like, Shanghai has all these strats nailed down, right? As APAC was clearly the dominant division in this meta and kind of had it, locked down early. I think you potentially could see some, I was going to say maybe some Winston Zarya here for Chengdu. It'll be Shanghai on defense to kick things off. They'll be playing the Orisa Diva. It looks like we'll probably get a switch, though. I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, you'll see Izayaki go back. He'll play Ana, and then Lip in the spawn. Yep, we're going to see him play Ashe. So this is pretty similar to what they ran the other day against Chengdu at the start. Chengdu was able to take the first point. It was the second point that they were getting crushed on.
Okay, so Shanghai played this style primarily on this map and also Hollywood defense. So they want to play Orisa, in sort of like a poke defensive setup on maps that have good high ground availability. The Hunters, their composition's tooled fairly well to counter that, or at least access those areas. And you'll see Chengdu really try and take the fight straight to the Dragons, and that's where things get interesting. Monk is going to be on the Ana, as is Izayaki here, so no Zenyatta to be found. A little bit safer against what is definitely a poke composition from the Dragons.
If I remember correctly, I think Chengdu came out and started on this the other day, yesterday. So we'll see if there's kind of any adjustments in terms of strategy and how they go about trying to break this. And they get a hack onto Fleta and they capitalize.
Yeah, can't ask for much more than that. It was a good fighter grenade from Izayaki, and that will give the Hunters pause for thought, but not much more than that. Fate is in deep trouble. Being pressured now from every area, trying to maybe throw a shield down, and he tries to dance it. Yeah, even Jagon's best efforts can't really keep him alive. Veltel's all over that Mercy. Great opening here for Chengdu. They're really bringing the fire.
Whether it's Monk with the Discords or Jinmu with the hacks, they are so fast to follow it up. Coming through the choke, you have Gaga and Leave kind of take control of that left-hand side mega health pack, and they take away some of the attention of the tanks, and Fletus hits off in an off angle in the right height staircase and starts, putting down damage as other players try to make their way through the choke. As soon as Jinmu gets a hack on it, Gaga and Leave are right there on top of him. Biotic Grenade as well. And Shanghai, they will go to the Winston on defense. This is how they were spawn killing them yesterday.
Izayaki has that nano boost ready, but the Hunters are sitting up for the point. Izayaki knows he can't really peek too far out lest he get hammered by Gaga or someone similar. Here they go, so unit's going to be a nano blade here for Leave. Where's he looking? First the deflect, then the kill. It's beautiful. 2 for Leave now, and the Dragons are in trouble once more. He's looking to try and hunt down Fleta on the Echo, but turns his attention instead to the point. A self-destruct's going to force the Hunters to duck and cover for a moment, and that gives enough of an opening for Lee Jae-gon to bring Izayaki back. Leave's work is far from done, but he's hit with a sleep dart. He's clocked off a little bit early, Matt. Gaga's able to find Izayaki though, and both Hunters are down once more. Fate and Void get hit with the EMP, and they can't avoid the self-destruct, or at least Void has to give up his mech to it. Lei Young's looking pretty healthy there, and Void gets caught in the crossfire. Micro Rockets get the job done, and there's no way Lip was going to escape from Lei Young there. That's 2 on the trot here for this newest addition for the Hunters, or the newest step up into a role. Was filled prior. A D-suit here for Lei Young, and This is petered out now for the Hunters.
Yeah, and even with a good nano blade to kick things off, and they invest the EMP, self-destruct, they lose both of their supports, so they were not able to just kind of keep anybody alive. As a long-range kill here on a Fleta, this probably doesn't lead to much of anything. You do just have a bunch of changes that come through from Chengdu, so they're going to have to start to build up towards some of these ultimates.
Monk's on the Zen here, so Fate definitely needs to keep his wits about him. He's hacked. Anubis now giving over to the Winston, but he can't survive. He couldn't even get the Primal Rage off. That could be very dangerous here for the Dragons. Monk is sleeping though, and you see how many people just get called back to make sure the Zen can stay alive. That's crucial time bought here for the Dragons, and Fate will have a chance to return with Primal Rage, Matt.
Yeah, and you have a big pile driver go in towards this room, but you're not going to be able to keep anybody up as the Bob gets used. Nobody within line of sight of the healers, as you still have Monk and Invital in the choke. So Primal Rage now from Fate. They're going to invest a rally into this, and they're going to get a DMAC on the Void, but where does this lead to? You still don't have your Diva back yet.
Fate survives that one. Void will return to the fray momentarily. The Dragons will have the numbers. It's a matter of lead or someone else finding big kills. Getting rid of Fate here is huge. Jinmu again is able to get the job done. Fate looks like he was caught out there by a hack, and now Void is manually hacked. Both tanks are dealt with in sequence here by the Hunters, and Void is desuited into a self-destruct. Lei Young is looking fantastic on Diva, considering we talked up his Zarya by comparison, but Jinmu and leave it down, and that's the Hunters getting declawed.
This is very similar to how it went yesterday. You just have Monk and Invital stuck in the choke, and they're not able to make it through. They end up using a Transcendence, just to keep Monk alive as he was getting pressured out by Fleta. And I think you may have to end up opting towards something else here if you're the Hunters. Yes, this composition has really worked for you, and it's been great against Shanghai on certain maps and modes. It has not seemed to have those results on Anubis.
Void and Fleta are pushed up here. Fleta remains to harass leave.
Monk's dead.
Not a great start here for the Hunters, and he is always the target though. There's a concession, I feel like, from Chengdu, Matt, when they do play, knowing that Monk will be the first on the chopping block. And teams like the Dragons, they're always going to find a way to pressure him.
He got hit by a Bob, just straight up. A Bob, and then he got pile drove, and then Lip just shot him once. There was no way they were going to keep him alive.
That's a proportional expenditure of resources. Get rid of him, sure.
He is such a stationary target, and they need to, have the Brig kind of sit on him at all times, and even really the Diva that Izayaki in the back can defend himself, with the sleeps and the biotic grenades. He's also got a Brig there too, but he's able to heal everybody up at such a distance, where Monk cannot get in position at all to do that.
Pulse bomb for Fleta. He's looking at Veltal, but he gets stunned up and has to recall. He's not going to be able to get away at all. In fact, and he is pressured. 3 HP in a dream, sat in the middle of the map. He gets dispatched. And now the Hunters might have another opportunity. They are going carefully about this, though. Not overextending. They get a manual hack on Fate. He has to be nano boosted instantly, and he's still taken down. So much pressure, so much focus on those tanks here from the Hunters. Will get them to play a lead now. Jinmu has to get the heck out of dodge, though. Way too much pressure from a newly returned Fleta. And Gaga also feeling the heat right now. Bob gets hacked. He is removed here, so Lip's ultimate essentially goes by the wayside now. And Fate trying to work his way into the back line. Mine's thrown down. This is going to force the Hunters to back up in the choke. And Fleta was there, but he's stunned, and he's taken down by Veltal.
I just don't think this is enough healing from the Hunters. They're able to get a few picks, and then they're still stuck like in the mid-bridge area, working their way towards the point. And they have to use so many ultimates, really the Minefield and the Transcendence, to even keep everybody up as you move towards point B without even taking percentage on it. Shanghai doesn't have to worry about that. They have players coming off the spawn. Jinmu is in the back, will try and get a touch.
I mean, this is going to be tough. It's not as if you're dealing with the Dallas Phil. Self-destruct there is going to be an option for the Diva. The EMP is pretty big on the Dragons, though, but the Hunters are going to be staved off, essentially. And Matt, for all our talk of, how Chengdu have adjusted their approach to this map and how they dealt with the fuel, it's a very similar result to the last time they played against Shanghai on Anubis.
They have to invest ultimates just to get in. They're not getting any point percentage, and then by the time they actually move on to the point, everybody's back for Shanghai, and then Shanghai just has such a huge advantage in terms of how much HPS they can put out with the Ana back there compared to Zen Brig, right? And then also the biotic grenades, if it hits you, there's really nothing you can do, and Chengdu never really able to make any significant progress on that second point. They get 58%. We'll see what they do here on defense. Whether they opt to play, the ball, do they play Winston? Most likely an Echo setup, yeah. So it'll be Echo Sombra with the Winston. See, I would have liked to see them play this composition on offense almost. It's a double bubble, right? You still have the Sombra in the mix for like big EMPs, and then also just the Echo for just straight damage, and then the Ana. I think this would have been much better suited for their offensive side as well.
Right, a little safer. Puts a bit more resources in Gaga's court, right? As opposed to him just having to brave the Discord orb, or in many cases it was biotic grenades and sleep dance from Mizuyaki. Again, Hunters need a little bit more of a buffer for their Winston, because the moment the Dragons get a whiff of where Gaga is, they're going to be going for him. And again, just not losing a first pick here is crucial. Trace a Sombra from the Dragons, Matt. They'll also have the Winston, but the D.Va instead of the Zarya.
I mean, the composition for Hunters just has way more win conditions, right? Nano on the Winston, Nano on the Echo, EMP, Grav, just a lot of ways you can win these fights where, with that ball composition, it's really about just getting in there, getting picks, which Anubis, the spawn is so close. It's very difficult. The Shanghai already has control of the point.
Yeah, Gaga got hacked and hit with the biotic grenade, so they had a hand over initiative to the Dragons, but their response is good. They single Lee J gone out. Get rid of him. This is going to interrupt the Dragons as they try and cap, and it's far from over. Biotic Grenade somehow connected with Leave, and Fletter's there to finish the job. Veltal's going to be able to resurrect this, so that is pretty huge that the Hunters can actually get a brief reprieve amongst this fight. And Void tries to drop down to harass the Mercy, but he's hacked himself. Even the Biotic Grenade can't keep him in the mech. Great composure from the Hunters here, Matthew.
Yeah, and it was a nice Winston bubble from Gaga that allows the Mercy to end up getting the res. They double back to the point. They do give up a tick, but still good first defense here for Chengdu. You ended up getting the brig at the choke. Oh, no, Lucio, right? That's where Leave and Gaga can put some pressure on the supports as they try and make it all through. You get one of them, you double back to the point, somebody can test. You're in a good spot to get these holds.
Gaga drops down close to a primal rage, but knows just how quickly he can be blown up if he's not careful. He got hacked as soon as he jumped back to the point. Oh my! That's looking dangerous for Monk. He's going to quickly divvy out that nano boost there. Fade is also nano boosted, but he's slept by Monk. And Flutter's in position to deploy this pulse bomb. He sees Gaga go charging across the point, knows that's not really an option right now. Gaga causing a lot of disruption for the backline, and Izuyaki, how's he going to get out of this corner? He's being juggled by Gaga. It's an absolute circus, but Gaga looked to be the conductor there. Fate falls across the map. Jinmu is brought back, so it's a player swing of two. And Gaga, I don't know how he's still alive. He survives for quite some time, but it's still going to be an EMP here. It connects on the late young, crucially, who has a grab. If Eltul can't fly away, he's caught in that corner, and Jinmu has to translocate out. Here's the grab. Not the most compelling one.
Yeah, they dropped the bomb on it, but the rally and everybody gets out of the way. Gaga's going to switch the ball to come back, just to be back into this next fight.
Chengdu couldn't keep Late Young alive. Gaga hacked as well, blown up. Great focus again. The Dragons very good at singling out these tanks here. That's 2 ticks and counting. Monk trying to buy a little bit of time on the point, but that's going to be that for the Hunters stand on point A rather. And now the Dragons look to win the map here. 58.7% is the magic number.
Not a terrible defense though from Chengdu. Let's see what they can do on this point B defense. Is Gaga trying to get control of the choke, but he gets pressured out by Void and Fate. So you're gonna have this EMP coming up here and Nano for the Hunters.
EMP catches 5, not lit, but it doesn't really matter because the follow-up's there. Gaga dives in. Geronimo, he says, I'll have me a backliner or two. And although he staved off for a moment, he's always going to keep pushing. Going to take a breather there, I guess, a forced one, but Leave is going to finish the job.
Yeah, you love seeing Chengdu get this aggressive. I just brought up the map though, just to make sure, after yesterday's game with Talus, make sure nobody's working on the backside. So we have Fleta going over to Reaper. So Reaper obviously doesn't matter if he gets hacked. Doesn't really gain a lot from that. As Gaga gets really low, he was left up top. And Fate, they're trying to capitalize on it as well. He gets beamed down.
Doesn't matter what team it is. Shanghai Dragons, Dallas Fuel, could be a world champion. The Hunters are more than happy to try and push forward here, but it kind of backfires now. Flatter looking pretty scary, and he gets a nano boost, but nobody's within arm's reach. He doesn't have the teleport available because he used it to get up on the high ground, so much of that nano goes to waste. There's an EMP here though, Matt. This could be scary.
EMP for both sides. EMP self-destruct available here for the Hunters and a duplicate.
There's the dupe. Leave is going to be D.Va. He is hacked at the moment, but that won't last forever. It'll just prevent him from charging up that self-destruct for free as quickly as he would otherwise like. One D.Va's down for the Hunters, and here's the EMP. Flatter crucially can't do too much, but Izayaki and Lee Jae-gon are also hacked. Leave, remake kill. A lot of damage there on towards Void. He has to very quickly run away. The Hunters are out of the woods now for sure. Getting rid of Fate means it's another successful defense.
And they've done a really nice job in terms of their ultimate usage here on defense. They know their kind of win conditions are able to back up, kite some of the things that Shanghai is throwing at them. That time, really, it was the EMP where Lee was able to actually get the duplicate off right before it. So he was having that extra HP of the D.Va on the point, although not the abilities. Still, being able to stay alive for that long was huge. And then Jinmu follows it up with an EMP on his own. That one's really strong. Let's see, though, what they try and do with Fleta. Try and put him in position. Do you nano Fleta, nano the Reaper, try and send him in. Nano the Winston with the Reaper. Maybe get a big death blast in that back corner.
Void a little low right now. Takes
they want to
full
do
serving
it so bad.
He's nanoed. Fleta can't get to him. He'd have to teleport to try and get close enough to the Winston. By the time he gets there, well, Lee Jae-gon's already been taken down, and Gaga knows where his bread's butter's, Matt. He jumps out. Lei Young, though, barking orders. He gets hacked and can't get away as quickly as he would have liked. They've lost lead. There's a brief opening for the Dragons, but it doesn't look like they're willing to take it, and that clock is getting awful low, Matt.
No, they gotta wait for their brig. I mean, you're gonna have rally. There's no way you can go and start this off without your rally. The bad part is there's gonna be EMP duplicate available for the Hunters, and Gaga being able to control the high ground, drop down on the supports in the back, really giving Shanghai some trouble. That'll be a hack. Can anyone follow up on it?
Yes, Leave gets grounded. They're able to find that first kill, and Fleta plunges into the back line, getting rid of Yveltal. Lei Young has to stall. He has to stay alive, but it's a self-destruct now to try and get the mech back. It's not going to work out. Lee Jae-gon on the low ground, and the Dragons get it done. Not a moment too soon either. Definitely a closer affair than last time these two teams went head-to-head. But in this case, it's history repeating itself, Matt. We have a tied series here in our final.
Yeah, and it was a nice EMP by Lip that started it off, gets a kill onto Leave right after, but Lip then turns and gets a manual hack onto Gaga as he's coming up with Primal, which is even bigger. The Primal would have been able to come from the backside of the Shanghai Dragons, really extend that point and make it dangerous.
Coming up, of course, is Hybrid here, and it will be the Hunters pick, so you have to think they'll be picking something that's been a clean sheet for them so far. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll find out what that map is on the other side of these messages.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
We got a whole new season on our hands, a whole new tournament.
Expect the unexpected. It never happens as it should.
It's something in the contenders' water, but this shows you how close in skill a lot of these teams are. It's absolutely insane. The pole slam dunk on the Surmajet, he's gone. Dynasty, what a way to secure the bag.
Shockwave's turning around?
Wow.
Where did Shockwave find those 2 kills to take out the supports of Hurricane?
Speedly popping up. Why is this the Speedly show every time we see this pick from Speedly? The Echo and then getting enabled by OG. It's actually insane. But his shield is broken.
Oh
he does the jump around the corner with the shatter, and they couldn't even use Transcendence. Here comes Eyes with a dead eye finds 2 again. Constantly finding these picks.
This is hit scan pop off territory. Iced is in his element.
Jakaru comes rolling through to find a third as he takes out both the supports. One more for him, that's 4K! Chikaru against the British Hurricane.
But look at how British Hurricane's gonna try to win those fights.
Just like that! Poco going a little loco here, finding 5.
Poco just caught health completely off guard.
Cloudy charges into Adam.
The LKO out of nowhere.
Johnny on the 3rd time as well.
Johnny is a Lucio to be reckoned with. Twirls more energy to grab on the high ground so they can't touch.
Twos. What a huge brain on this lad.
Someone needs to clip the wings of this Spara.
People could say that they saw this coming. There's no shot you saw it happening the way that it did.
That was just history we watched right there.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch. TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League. And by NetApp, the official data management partner of the Overwatch League.
The Frag Video Contest, everybody, is back. We want to see your best compilation videos of the top frags from the Summer Showdown Tournament for a chance to win $3,000. Now, here is the link. Find out more at blizzard.wishpond.com/summer-showdown. And bonus points if you get any of the weird exclamation sounds that Matt Mr. X likes to make. especially when he sees crazy team fights and ridiculous C9s, because yeah, they're pretty special. What do you think about that?
Yeah, you can probably just make a whole highlight of Chengdu stuff. I mean, just submit that. I think you'd be fine. Zenyatta power rankings with IBM Watson, Izayaki and Monk, both up there among the best. You see how far though Izayaki ranks above a score of 120. Obviously, the league average being at 100. Monk just above there, but I feel like Monk's play has been improving as of late. I feel like he's really starting to ascend.
And again, I mean, Izayaki is number one in all of the key stats for Zenyatta in the league. He's undisputably the best right now. But we talk a little bit about some of the intangibles, or at least how Monk sets up a lot of these crucial kills here. I will say, though, Matthew, that Shanghai have done a very good job of punishing both Gaga and Late Young, especially on the Temple of Anubis, where they managed to eke out a rather narrow victory. That means that, yes, we're off to Hybrid, and with the Hunters pick, it's no surprise to see Eichenwalde come up.
Yeah, this is what the Hunters picked yesterday against the Dragons, and they ended up winning it 4-3. Interesting enough, the first 3 maps of this series, the same exact ones as we saw in the last one. Both teams trying to get on this map leaderboard, presented by Xfinity for Eichenwalde. In yesterday's series, though, it was Shanghai who ended up winning Ilios, and then you had the Hunters pick Anubis. This time, though, with the Hunters winning that one, Shanghai played so good against Chengdu Hunters and Anubis, which was their map pick yesterday. They brought them to it today and beat them again. So we'll see if Chengdu can repeat their great performance on Eichenwalde that they had yesterday again today.
And again, you run this same, these same maps back 10 times. It could be 5 wins, 5 losses for either of these teams, right? We're talking about 4-3, so both teams were actually able to finish the map there. Pretty close. We've seen the Hunters choose this map many times in the Eastern region as well, over different metas, so they definitely feel confident there. Now we're going to be looking here at, it's a double-bubbled core, but with the McCree and the Torbjorn here, so real strong defensive aspect amongst those DPS heroes.
You see the stat on the screen, that is wild, that the Hunters have not lost Eichenwalde in their last 7 maps of this. So clearly I know that they have the magic here, okay, so the Torbjorn and the McCree, like you mentioned on defense, really good at, whether they're going to play, maybe it's going to be a Tracer, or whether we see, an off chance like Genji or a Pharah up in the sky can just be an annoying deterrent. So Shanghai, probably take a look at what Chengdu's running, then make some adjustments.
All right, Izayaki already has switched to the Ana. Fleta Doomfierce, question mark? Unclear. The Dragons are taking a brief moment to set up their composition.
Okay.
All right, you got Reaper Sombra here.
You can take advantage of the McCree here. Obviously, the McCree, a pretty stationary target. Try and get the Reaper in the McCree's face, or try and get the hacks onto Gaga and then finish him off. So you do have some options here with this Reaper. They get a sleep onto the Winston at the beginning. So let's see what Shanghai does with it. They hit that big biotic grenade going in, though.
It doesn't stop them. Look at this. With Reckless Abandon, the Dragons are still pushing up. Fate somehow gets around behind Gaga and just ruins him. Gaga having a very rough start to the series. Jin was able to deal with the Reaper guy at the very least here, but there's 4 players for the Dragons posted up on the cart, and Fate just bubbles it, sits inside, says, all right, you want to have a crack at this? Go on. Lei Young is hit with the hack there, so it means that he's not building up too much charge for the time being. Void respecting the Zai, though, at all times. Knows he can't really do too much about that damage, but wants to punish Gaga for this particular position.
Well, they lost their Reaper at the beginning. This will be a Nano now on a Fate as he takes out 2. So without the Reaper, you have to wait till Fleta gets back in the fight because he's your largest source of damage. And with a Nano onto Late Young here at the end, they're going to invest the grab as well. It's just 2 members of the Hunters. You're not going to be able to turn that.
Yeah, I mean, let's him get Fleta, but that is really all that the Hunters are able to get done with that. And you're right, they kind of take 5 seconds or so. They stand around in that fight, and they see Gaga come in, and no one's really committing. We're on board with Void, and he's just playing back. Faken gets an Anubis. This is that break period here, right, where Fate's just waiting, and then he goes in. Gets to the Nano as soon as he lands, or even just beforehand. Nicely done.
So, the Torb turret you'd expect to be in these off angles and doing some damage, but they dealt with it fast this time. Jinmu just tried to throw one down on the stairs. It got dealt with even faster. EMP here for Shanghai. It's not big, but the follow-up's going to be good.
I mean, Gaga just disintegrated under their watchful eye. It was a nice spider grenade there from Monk, but when there's no follow-up there, really all it is a little bit of initial damage. That's it. Leave runs headlong into Izayaki there, and he is just ruined. Void finds it with the micro rockets here, and the Dragons are starting to go from strength to strength here, Matthew. Looking very powerful on this map.
Well, they knew that there was a little bit of a break in that fight. And they knew if they just kind of waited a second, there was a rally that was still going. You had the sound of the Deadeye that went off, but they didn't actually end up using it just to kind of scare and get a reload. That they could just re-engage with the sound barriers. They had players coming back from the spawn. So now you see the Reaper Sombra coming out here from the Hunters, trying to match this, where I feel like, Shanghai has got more experience playing this type of style.
Flatter, he knows he's taxed the defense matrix to its very limit, and then he just pops ultimate after that resource gets drawn out. Quick 2-tap on Leave here, and it's the Dragons with a dominant showing right now. Flatter, back to the card as it was being stalled for a moment by Jinmu. Good awareness, but that will give the Hunters a chance here to fight once more.
Yeah, but they're going to be walking into an EMP. Lip's going to be able to land a huge one. Gaga's over to the Wrecking Ball now to try and get a touch.
Hack immediately on Gaga. He was trying to spin to win around the cart to keep it sort of stalled out, but that's not going to be an option here. Lip just peppers Late Young. Even the miraculous youngster can't stop them here, Matthew. 4 minutes 20 on the clock, and Late Young is in trouble.
This is looking ugly for Chengdu. I think this is also one of the worries that you would possibly have with Shanghai, where you could run back I think there's some teams in the league where you could run back the map and see the other team not make these like big adjustments, right? Now, this game was really close the other day between these two teams. Shanghai, though, makes these adjustments coming into today in just terms of how they're playing, stylistically, and they start to gain this advantage and now put you on the back foot.
Jinmu's been spotted here, so he's revealed and was looking for an EMP opportunity. A bit frustrating for him now, and yep, he waits a little bit too long. Lip's able to catch him with that. He can't translocate away, and he's eventually going to be run down by the enemy Sombra. Fletter assesses his options here. Getting rid of the Mini Diva seems to be right where he wants to be, but he gets run into by this rallying Brig. The sound barrier timing is just perfect to keep the Reaper alive, and Gaga eventually crumbles underneath the Death Blossom. Monk's in trouble. Fletter looks at him, but maybe thinks that getting rid of Leave is a more important option. He's able to get rid of Lip on the Sombra with that ultimate. Backs away to the health pack that's hacked, so tons of healing available, and Fletter had nowhere to go, Matt.
Yeah, Ziziaki's trying to keep him alive at range on the Ana, but not able to do so, as the Ana and the Lucio will make it out with their lives, but the payload's so close to making it towards the end of the map. 2 minutes and 50 is a ton of time to get it done as well. Primal Rage, self-destruct available here for Shanghai.
Jimmy slept!
Oh, and we see Leave go over to Tracer now, where I feel like he was being pretty effective on that Reaper.
I mean, he was dealing with Flatter pretty well, but looks like he wants to try and pressure backline a bit more. And maybe that's justified. Is this Yaki's the one that puts the nail in Gaga's coffin? Fate just dances around. He knows there's not really anyone with like large front-loaded damage that can deal with him in an instant. He can just skip around the battlefield here. Late Young briefly put to sleep, and Gaga trying to stall this one out, but it's going to be Flatter with a nano boost now, and those Hellfire shotguns going to be hitting doubly hard. Monk, yep, no way he could get away from that one. At long range, he's taken down, and the Dragons have a whopping 2 minutes and 13 seconds on the clock left after their attack.
If I remember correctly, yesterday the Dragons had like a minute 30, I think I want to say. They definitely had more time than Chengdu, but Chengdu was able to pull out like a huge win in that to get it in overtime, an extra kind of innings per se. Chengdu, they make the switch at the end. Tracer and the Zen, maybe the Zen damage with the Discord makes up for some of the kind of front-loaded damage that the Reaper has, but still, Shanghai looked really clean on their offense. I want to see what Chengdu decides to pull out here on theirs. Do they play some of this Wrecking Ball stuff? I feel like they may have to even throw a little bit of that Winston double bubble in. That Shanghai, whether it be they're really just kind of playing the Diva 24/7 here with Void, but we've seen Late Young play a lot of the Zarya and have a pretty good impact. So I think you're gonna have to see some type of change-up, some variation here from the Hunters.
The Dragons obviously displaying some pretty nice flexibility. This decision to move Fletter over the Reaper just to make it a little bit harder for Gaga to do his thing. Here's that Jinmu sleep, I think, right? Absolutely chef's kiss.
Real nice there.
Big fan.
Close play.
5,
Leave on the pre was something we saw a little bit yesterday, which turned the tide. I believe it was Gibraltar between these two teams. He brought out the pre. They get a hack on a Fleta, but is that the player you think you can kind of capitalize on? You don't want to be running right into the Reaper in this close quarter.
This hasn't worked.
Jinmu went to the Pharah, maybe they're just trying to get some rockets in that room, see if he can get a pick, but then switches back to the Sombra.
Well, the Dragons don't get punished for that, considering they had everybody in the one room. It's miraculous they managed to escape it all. Now Lee, though, he's on the hunt. Lee Jae-gon, though, tough one to pin down. Lip has also arrived on the scene now, when Gaga might have found himself a little bit stranded. He's able just to get away, picks up the Mega on the way through.
Be right back.
Lip translocates out, and he has a hacked health pack there to benefit from. And he's waiting. He was waiting for the Tracer to come around the corner, but he predicted incorrectly.
Yeah, they lost Late Young, though. They lost his neck as when Gaga and Lee were going in. Gaga had to go all the way out, and Late Young ends up taking out Paletta. I believe that's when his Buddy Blaster, as he tries to go in, is maybe as Chengdu gets players back, they can try and make a go at this. But right now, I mean, you lost half the team. You gotta wait.
I mean, the Dragons are down to brawl. If this is how the Hunters want to play, Shanghai are happy to, three-man dive a Wrecking Ball that's trying to get into their backline. They will go to try and punish Gaga. They already have a Reaper in place, so there's already extra deterrent for Gaga to try and do his thing. Jinmu slapped again. Oh, he's just completely blown up. That is a complete lobotomy there from Fleta up close. And Gaga gets caught by the Reaper on the way back as well. Fleta, such a simple approach from him, but he's in the right place at the right time constantly.
Right, I mean, and that's all you can really ask of the Reaper, right? You just want him in the fight. At that point, there's not really any kind of crazy abilities or mechanical things he needs to do. This will be a Primal Rage by the spawn. EMP as well. So this is a Dragon spawn camp going on right now. We gotta see some type of response here for the Hunters. But in their first, they had Gaga get hacked, which kind of ruined their first engagement. And we saw Jinmu get slapped twice, back to back. We also saw it on the, when they were on defense, Jinmu gets slapped. So Izzyaki having himself a pretty good game.
Jinmu EMP there, catches Fate and Void. Lip was low, but Nano boost on towards Fleta. Minefield, good pile driver follow-up there for Gaga, who's just fallen out of the seat. He's just fragging. He's actually ascended into the astral plane right now on his Wrecking Ball. Self-destructs here for Lei Young, but he won't need it. And this time the Dragons get caught. It's the EMP from Jinmu that punishes their position.
And I don't know if it kind of happened a little bit earlier, but towards the end, Lee Jae-gon a sound barrier. I thought he was trying to use it on the way out. Possibly he popped it on the way in. Just didn't see it on the map, but wondered if for a second there Jinmu was able to get a hack on him during it. But it'll be a fast fight here for Shanghai. They want to take, you want to take this before this gate opens up for sure. Buy themselves even more time.
See, Fleta's only getting residual healing from the Lucio for the most part, but he's still not punished by the Hunters. He gets stunned up, and he actually had the time to wait the stun out. And the spawn camp's not done yet. The Dragons know the Hunters have to get past the door here, and that is a whole lot of extra time that they would have to get back. So it's worth 2 fights to camp them here in the spawn. They can dive again on the other side of this choke because a cart just takes a while to get through it.
And it's brutal because you're going to have an EMP here, Primal available for Shanghai. And you don't have like a Lucio or even the Winston to get like fast engages.
Gaga gets knocked back into that Death Blossom from Fleta. I mean, the Hunters get forced to stop and smell the roses in that case. And they stink!
A lot of ultimates used there, though, for Shanghai, right? You ended up, Nano, Primal, Death Blossom, EMP. You kind of threw everything at it. And even with that fight win, the cart's going to start to make some progress here. Shanghai doing a nice job, though. Taking these fights early, trying to make it costly for Chengdu. You get Chengdu to invest, and you get to that second checkpoint, you can get a hole.
Nice beat from Lee Jae-gon there, but he can't quite get away from Lei Young, who just left a random self-destruct on the stairwell. And Lee was going to be able to find 2, and now he's looking primed to clean up here. The Hunters, you give them an inch, they're going to take a country mile. And they are off and running here. It's going to be an interesting part of the map. Lee Jae-gon is going to be looking for some big bridge boops on this Lucio.
And you do have the self-destruct to use in open space as the cart rounds the corner, kind of making its home stretch towards that second checkpoint. Looks like the Dragon's going to take this approach from the high ground, though. Maybe kind of switch sides of the map.
I don't know what's coming. Yveltal is sitting on top of Monk here, making sure the Zen can get work done. That means that the front line doesn't have a lot of healing, so Gaga can't stay in the fight for very long. Fate gets rolled. Looks like the Discord Orb was applied by Monk across the map. Liv's able to get rid of Leave at the very least. So Izayaki, this needs to be a good nano, and Fleta couldn't do anything there. The remake kill on Yveltal is pretty darn big, though, and Void gets a nano as a reward. And he's going hunting. He's going to force the Transcendence out of Monk now, and here come the reinforcements of Shanghai. Fate is back on the scene here. Void may be hacked. He's looking to hide and help with some of the damage going at Monk, and the Zen is finally down. Void is still alive somehow.
Yeah, they put so much pressure on Gaga. He had to go all the way back underneath to the Mega Health Pack to get health, and then try to work his way back towards like Monk to get a little bit of the Transcendence healing, but you didn't have the ball in play for a lot of that. It was just kind of D.Va and the Zen when you had the Transcendence going, trying to keep that fight alive, where it seemed like they were just kind of throwing the good money after bad. Is now Chengdu taking the high ground. This will be a good spot for the Zen. You see where kind of they're pathing here on Jinwoo's screen, but the EMP going to come out early here.
They get Monk. That's the crucial kill there. Now Fate knows that he can start to, be a bit more present in this fight and not have to worry about getting blown up before he can react with a Primal Rage. And that's what he's doing. He's having the time of his life now with the absence of Zen.
And 10 seconds this type of map, they're so split, Chengdu, that it's way easier to dive and make it way back as Jinwoo's still here trying to get a touch here, send us an OT.
Izayaki knows. He knows. Lee Jae-gon's going to be there and Monk's gone down. Jinwoo can't get anything done. Pulse Bomb from Lee gets eaten up and it all goes wrong for the Chengdu Hunters now. Fleta turns back up on the Reaper and the Hunters have got nothing more to say here on Eichenwalde. The Dragons, they break that, 7-map win streak for the Hunters on what we thought would be one of their best looks in this series.
And the Hunters won this map against Shanghai just yesterday. So Shanghai, with those adjustments like we were talking about, comes in today and wins Eichenwalde. As we move further into this series, I wonder if we see Chengdu, or maybe it's Shanghai, right? Whoever, pick Watchpoint Gibraltar. That was the map that we saw yesterday. That was a Shanghai Dragons pick, but Chengdu was able to win it. I wonder if we see Chengdu selected today.
Well, time to put the thinking caps on for the Hunters here. The Pandas need to get educated as it's a rough start on a map that they probably were hoping to win here. The Dragons are showing something different today. It's time for the Hunters to adapt. Stick around. Next map is coming up.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to Game Break presented by Pringles. We're back here. I'm Reinforced. We got Costa, we got Danny to break down the finals so far. As the teams take a moment to rest, get their strategy, their tactics in order to really end this finals with one big bang. 3 maps played so far in this one. We're about to break down all of the action, of course. And it started out on Ilios, Danny. The Shanghai Dragons, they hadn't lost a single control map in the Summer Showdown finals this weekend, of course. Until this one, where we saw, you can play tons of different compositions on Ilios, of course, but we saw the Farah Mirror come out, Danny. A very exciting matchup.
Yeah, the first round on Lighthouse, it was Farah v Farah Fleta versus Jinmu. Not only that, we also got to see Nisha play, and we haven't seen him for a while, so it was good. And he played a really good Mercy for Jinmu. This round, Shanghai Dragons kept the point first, but honestly, on the Farah v Farah, Jinmu came on top, and they got the round. Moving on to, as we see right now, the second round, it was on Ruins, and yeah, Monk, he just decided to go full DPS mode, and he just started murdering everybody. And this particular round wasn't even close. It was 100-0 to Chengdu Hunters. So it was 2-0 and Chengdu won the match.
Yeah, it really threw the entire finals for a bit of a loop there. We weren't really expecting the Chengdu Hunters come out as strong as they did, and they did win that control map. Up next, of course, it was a Shanghai Dragons map choice, and they decided to take us to the Temple of Anubis. Temple of Anubis, who they did also play in the upper bracket finals yesterday against the Chengdu Hunters. That was a very dominant map from the Shanghai Dragons. This one, a little bit closer, Costa. It was a bit more back and forth this time around.
Yeah, you could actually see Chengdu being very ready for this map as well. They came out with the Genji from Jinmu, and it actually worked quite well. They had a pretty solid offense. Honestly, at the caliber of this play, getting 2 ticks on the second point on Anubis is actually pretty good. So Hunters gave themselves a win condition, and they played very, very well. But Shanghai Dragons, not the dominant performance we saw from them last time. They actually struggled on their offense as well. Not really getting anything done, not really this aggressive style that we know the Shanghai Dragons for. They couldn't really get anything done, but they banked their ultimates. They bided their time, waiting for that perfect moment. They got all 6 ultimates come in, they popped them all at the right time and got the right picks with less than a minute to go. So great turnaround from the Shanghai Dragons, because if they don't get this team fight win, they don't get this clean map win, all of a sudden Chengdu Hunters were going to go up 2-0, and that's the series starts slipping away from you at that point.
Absolutely. The type of clinical gameplay you would like to see from a finals team in a matchup like this. So the ball is back in Chengdu Hunters court. They get to decide the next upcoming map, and that is Eichenwalde, of course. A map they haven't lost on since week 25 of last year, 2020. Eichenwalde, a map they also haven't lost on in 7 consecutive matches. So this really felt like a map that was supposed to be Chengdu Hunters. Instead, Danny, Lee Jae-gon, he locks in the Lucio, and we see all the Lucio and Reaper action for the Shanghai Dragons, and they take a 2-1 lead in the series here.
Yeah, it was. I mean, this map was all Shanghai Dragons. They sort after Anubis, I think they really just adapted, and they sort of, I guess they sort of talked it out. And we saw Winston. They were sort of using that fast tempo Winston, like you said, Lee Jae-gon on the Lucio, and the Ana Reaper, Fleta Reaper, just came in clutch, and they just murdered everybody on Chengdu Hunters. That Reaper play, Nano Reaper, like, what do you do? Yeah, it was just like, wow, Nano Reaper, that Reaper guy, you know, that Reaper guy is
it was a throwback. Okay, we don't have to go to the copy pastas, Danny, but it was a bit of a throwback, because back in my day, this is how I won the titles, okay? So I love seeing this from the Shanghai Dragons. Look, Costa, if you get to talk about the Valiant winning stage titles, I get to talk about Nano Reaper, okay? That's how we do it. We break even now. Okay, let's leave it at that. So 3 maps done and dusted so far in the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown finals, and the 4th one is coming up. Now, we do actually have the map pick. We know where the Chengdu Hunters will be taking the Shanghai Dragons. And as we take a look for ourselves, we can see that it's going to be Route 66. Ooh. This is a map that both teams are 1-0 on so far in the Summer Showdown. Unbeaten, albeit only 1 victory each here. Costa, what do you think we can expect from both teams going into Route 66 here?
It's actually interesting, because we talk about both of these teams in the Summer Showdown being very prominent styles on that Wrecking Ball. But I actually expect to see a lot of what we just saw in Eichenwalde. They played that Reaper Lucio style, and I think Reaper is very good on this map. The ability to use that Shadow Step to get onto the high ground, really punish the tanks. And I'm curious to know if the Reaper is a counter to the Chengdu Hunters and Late Young on that Xayah, because all of a sudden you don't have that defense matrix. The Xayah is very susceptible to get run over by the Lucio and the Reaper. So I'm curious to see if that is a continuing trend for the rest of this series, and we're going to see more Winston Reaper compared to that Wrecking Ball Zen that we've seen so far throughout the weekend.
Yeah, of course, also the McCree. Of course, that we saw Leave play yesterday on Gibraltar. That was a big turning point, nanoing Leave on that McCree. You know, we were talking behind the scenes as we're watching the matches, and Sideshow pointed it out as well in the WhatsApp group that, like, hey, you know, Leave, he played a lot of McCree yesterday. It seemed to work for the Chengdu Hunters. Maybe harder to make work against the Lucio Reaper composition that Shanghai Dragons are playing currently. Of course, we got bold prediction presented to you by Pringles, and for this one, you know, we've been considering the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown bracket. We've been analyzing, studying all the matches so far this tournament. What is our bold prediction here in this series, Costa?
My bold prediction is I think we're going to go the whole way. I think that the Chengdu Hunters are going to sort of pull themselves up by their bootstraps. I think we're going to go into the Chengdu zone, and I think it's going to be it's just going to be absolute chaos. And I'm looking at my boy Leave to really step up. He's been somewhat quiet compared to what he's done so far this weekend. So I want to see Leave, you know, pick it up. If he has to pick up the Cowboy on Route 66, get nanoed, then that's what they have to do. I want to see more of that from the Chengdu Hunters.
Let's go. Danny, you're on Costa's side. You want to see map 7?
Of course, I think everyone wants to see map 7. I do agree. I think it is going to be a very close match. I think it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, I like the point. Let's go. Let's go indeed. I like the point you bring up as well here, Costa, that, you know, Chengdu Hunters, Leave has to get going. They're bound to start playing something different, I can imagine. Leave seemed a bit indecisive on his hero picks. He liked to play the Tracer on point C of Viking etc. So Chengdu Hunters, I think they're going to bring us something very interesting in the second half. The second half is, of course, upon us. It starts very, very soon. But until then, we thank you for joining us here on the Game Break, presented to you by Pringles. The second half of Chengdu Hunters versus the Shanghai Dragons coming up in just a second.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles. Stay in the game. And by NetApp, the official data management partner of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back to a rivalry that's almost as old as the Overwatch League. Two teams that for quite some time were not taken seriously. Now all their opponents can do is sit back and watch as they go at it and sparks are flying. It's 2-1 favouring the Shanghai Dragons after map 3, which was Eichenwalde. And map 4, Matthew's coming up. It's going to be Route 66 and we have a substitution. Nisha comes back in for the Hunters.
Yeah, and this is going to be probably to get some more Mercy play in, like we saw early on Ilios. With the next map, Route 66, it's a little bit of a change-up, right? Like I mentioned, the first 3 maps were the same as their series the other day. It was the Watchpoint Gibraltar match that we had, for the Escort yesterday. Today, though, it's Route 66. What we saw on the Gibraltar game was Leave was pulling out the McCree, really made a huge impact, allowed Chengdu to keep their series alive. We take a look at the map leaderboard here, presented by Xfinity. Both of these teams will look to make their way on it. Wonder, probably see some echo play from both teams, maybe even some Pharah.
Absolutely, you can see it's a longer map. Nothing that approached sort of 4 minutes in time bank here. We've seen plenty of teams struggle to even get past the first checkpoint at times here, but you should expect both of these rosters to make this one extremely competitive, just as the whole series has been so far. Matthew, I like that the desk sort of highlighted, our friends at Watchpoint, that the McCree pick was big for Leave. It's what got the Hunters sort of back into the game against the Dragons, and that's something we haven't seen yet in this series, and a map that they speculate he might make an appearance on.
I agree. It was a huge difference maker. He was able to pick off like lip at a distance with ease, and really make it difficult for the rest of the Dragons overall. When he brought the McCree out, doesn't look like that. At least thus far, Shanghai with the Ball, Sombra, Tracer on D. I don't know if this is like a composition you would want to play up close with. Like, it kind of eliminates like some of the things the Wrecking Ball can do, like coming out with a big kind of pile drive and then going back in if you kind of limit yourself to just that area around the spawn. So maybe kind of play around this corner by Big Earls, at least at the start. Chengdu looks to be hovering with the Ball and Diva, and a composition with Leave maybe on the Echo. This could be the Jinmu Sonic Arrow just to check. Toward McCree. Is that what we see? Leave at the spawn still. Torb Reaper. Okay, so the Torb Reaper, Reinhardt. Okay.
Moira?
So this is so interesting because this is like an NA composition, right? It's very like
we've seen
Rush
this
style.
Row, I think.
Yeah, this is very defensive, very NA, trying to take advantage of this dive maybe coming in. Maybe you're able to get down some chip damage with that Torb turret, take out one of the flankers with some of this extra damage.
Feels like it's about giving Monk a bit of extra escape or some resilience here. So it's not strictly an anti-Wrecking Ball comp because there's no Discord orb available here. I don't know what Void is doing. He's just trying to stall, I think, this mini-beaver as long as he can. Oh my! Riveting stuff there from Jinmu as he picks Izayaki across the map.
And what's really fascinating is like, the Dallas Fuel and really kind of like the Atlanta Reign, they've tried stuff like this, against the Wrecking Ball, but a lot of the North American teams kind of play like a Lucio with it, and they get pretty aggressive. They don't really play the Moira. This will be an EMP, but Leave does not care for that. Takes out to the cart, gets over the line in the time being.
Yeah, that one falls by the wayside for Lip. Really not able to do too much with the EMP. I guess the Hunters say, who needs abilities when you have family, Matt?
I wonder if Lika wants to make a swap. Looks like he'll stay on the Sombra for now.
Diva.
Yeah, so the only swap we've seen from Shanghai is now Void is going to be playing the Sigma. So this gives them a little bit more staying power on the cart. Also, like, the Gravitic Flux will be huge here because all these players for Chengdu have to be kind of clumped together to make anything happen.
Gladiator has the poles. So it'll be a special delivery via airmail. He drops it in.
Shield.
Yeah, shrugged off there. Shatter comes in and caught lip there. Gaga on the Reinhardt. God, this brings back memories of the first time we saw Chengdu play Reinhardt against the Titans. That was the legendary Among versus Bumper game on Ryan. But I digress.
That was the game where we had him throwing oranges or something at Poren.
Yeah. Squeeze on his head.
Jinmu ends up using the Molten Core here to clear out the remaining few players. But his turret was able to deal with Fate, as the Torb turret's so annoying to have to deal with, because Shanghai, they want to play fast. They want to get on the cart, get on the back line, really start to tear those players up. And when they're weak coming back, they just get chipped down. As that'll be the second checkpoint as well taken here by the Chengdu Hunters. Is a really nice look here on Route 66 to kick it off.
Maybe not record pace quite for the Hunters, but they barely stopped this whole map. 4 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock. And they're still moving here. We haven't really seen this Sigma pick come to fruition yet for Void. He does have that Gravitic Flux available though, a great way to stop some of this momentum here for the Dragons. Fate sees Gaga, doesn't really want to mess with him right now. Here's that Gravitic Flux, catches 3. Gonna have the Wraith Walk ejection here by Leave as he gets out, but it's into an EMP.
EMP plus the Flux there used for the Shanghai Dragons. So I wonder now that Chengdu's been stopped and don't have the luxury of having like the Torb turret kind of set up with the payload and have this stationary thing. Now you have to be more offensive. If we see them change things up, this could be like where their comp lacks, is now having to be the aggressor.
Hunters want to move this cart, but they're going to be constantly stalled by this high ground, and Fate just peeking around the corner ever so often. That's why Leave is here, just to deter him from doing that. In they go though, Gaga, Shatter, catches Void and Ziaki in the backline, but Fled is causing problems here now. Death Blossom! And Coalescence in play. Monk gets enough healing. He actually gets rid of Fate whilst keeping his team alive inside the Death Blossom. And Lei Young, a bit of flair. World Stars, Lee Jae gone with the remet kill.
Oh, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming.
Oh, blessed childhood.
So we got Lee Jae Khan on the Zen now. All right, so adding in the Discord damage here, Zen Ana. A little bit of a throwback, as this will be another Gravitic Flux, as you're just able to put down so much damage of your Void from these off angles. And no big support ult for Chengdu Hunters to keep them alive on through it. Even with that sequence of events being good for the Hunters, still not able to come out on the top end in that fight.
Oh, you're kidding me, Lee!
They're switching. They have to be switching. So, like, Gaga switches the ball. Yeah, I expect the Leave to potentially switch. Do you play McCree? Do you play, okay. I was like McCree, Tracer, or even Echo, I probably would have said would have been like the 3 you go to. Now let's see if the Chengdu, though, has created a window here where, because they forced Shanghai to change so many different things with their composition, now when we go back to this ball-based look, Chengdu's able to take advantage of what Shanghai's got.
Oh, Lip loses his translocator, and Monk actually doesn't get hit with that. There's no transcendence in place, so no harm, no foul. Looks like maybe the Hunters might be the ones without plastic forks and seasoned packets in their instant ramen. Nicely done by Fate. He'll deal with Lei Young.
So, Lee Jae Khan with a Discord on the Gaga made it difficult for him to put any pressure onto the Shanghai support. So, yeah, I mean, having the Zen now with the Ana is a big thing for Shanghai. They have that Discord Orb to mark the Wrecking Ball. You also have the Nano, right? Big an ultimate that you can give over to Fate or Fleta. You're going to get a hack here and a finish on a Gaga. So you're going to have to kind of wait if you're Chengdu. So Chengdu's really good offense is stalled out here.
Yeah, they've really been played dry. Lost a lot of that momentum. And Fate there, body blocks Nisha. There's no escape for the Brigitte. Void does go down here, but Fate is in prime form, forces the recall from Leave here. A late Pulse Bomb could prove problematic, but there's Transcendence in play now for Lee Jae Gon.
Yes,
how much Zen have we seen, by the way?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was wondering how much Zen we've seen from him. He's going back to the spawn, it looks like, to make a change. Maybe Lucio here. Nope, goes back to the break. So, yeah, with the ball now, he's going to try and play the break to protect the Ana. So,
Hey, he did well.
I liked having the Zen. Yeah, I mean,
He got Transcendence off, and it wasn't interrupted. He didn't die to either the Trace or the Soul. This could be a problem. Transcendence has to be used there. And yeah, Fleta now into the back line knows there's no Transcendence. This could be nasty. Gets booped backwards by Nisha, who's hacked, by the way, so no shield bash available. He does have a health pack, and Flatter will set up for this kill. Leave just steps up and says, oh, Jesus, take the wheel.
Sure. take me. Yeah.
I'll take the fast lane
too,
back to
fam,
spawn.
yeah.
Oh my god. Give me that edgelord embrace. Okay.
Late Young wishes he could have just ran face first into a Death Blossom there instead of getting staggered. With Jinmu McCree here, that gets taken out coming back to spawn. We have a rally. Can they even get back to the cart? I don't think so. I mean, maybe
rally here.
But he gets booped back.
Late Young can get there. He touches.
Tough.
Nisha's going down though, and you got to think that Gaga just got stunned there as he tried to roll through. Oh my, the accretion was filthy. Long range on Jinmu, who's on the McCree, by the way. Dragons aren't out of the woods yet, but they're looking pretty darn good here. Great response there from Lee Jae-gon. Finds Leave in the back line and bops him. Senseless. Gaga won't get away either. It's whip shot. Everybody's going to jail. Beautiful stuff in the final moments from Lee Jae-gon on the brig. And the Dragons stop the Hunters in their tracks.
And it really kind of comes down to like what I was talking about, where they were able to, once they had control of the payload and they were the team that was stationary, they didn't have to be the one who that was proactively kind of going into the fights, making everything happen. Chengdu was able to run that Torbjorn composition and be really effective. It's once Shanghai was able to break it, they weren't able to get an offensive with it, and then they just kind of went back to what they've been doing. We saw the McCree at the end, but that was the Jinmu McCree, and it was just kind of to try and get out of the spawn.
It's the McCree that we have at home, you know?
Yeah,
as opposed to Leave.
Leave's McCree is good. It was very good in the series against Shanghai. Wonder if we see them ever go back to it.
Yeah, was he allergic? Is he allergic to wheat stalks all of a sudden? Huh? Allergic to bad coffee?
Yeah, and he ran it against some of the stuff that we've seen Shanghai run today. So maybe they feel like that, coming out of the Dallas Fuel series, that this is the... And then also, I mean, Shanghai series, right? I mean, that series is very close, goes all the way to the end. That another go-around with this composition and these head-to-heads is enough for them to get the win. Right now, it does not look like it, though, as Shanghai Dragons on offense. Really good opportunity to win this map, by the way. The payload doesn't make it about halfway to the final checkpoint. So.
Matt, what better way to be at match point than to have beaten Chengdu on two of their sort of preferred map types, their selected maps.
Right.
Absolutely brutal stuff.
I thought Fate was going back. Yeah, he's going to go to the Winston.
Yeah.
With so much talk about the APAC teams using the Wrecking Ball compositions to beat the teams in the West, now when it comes down to these two teams, we're seeing the ability to throw in some Winston comps, be a difference maker.
You're asking the Dragons to beat the Hunters at Wrecking Ball. Makes much more sense for the Dragons to take the path of less resistance, perhaps, and try and find a comp that they feel just matches up better. Fate is deep. He is committed to this one. Straight down the rabbit hole go the Dragons, and they come up with a pot of gold.
I think what it is, though, is you're seeing Shanghai be more effective accessing the backline of Monk and Nisha with this Winston-based composition. So here it is. Leave goes over to the McCree. We were waiting for, wondering when it would happen. So you have Leave now on McCree. This is very effective on Watchpoint Gibraltar. We'll see if he can kind of channel some of that magic here yet again to tie the series up.
This is what we've been waiting for. The Gunslinger is here. Dragons here staying out of line of sight for the most part. They definitely have identified that there is a McCree in play. Void on the Zarya. The double bubble action here. Not as much charge as he would have liked, but he'll get some now. It's like those micro rockets came clashing in.
This gives way more protection to Fate, right? Against whether it be a Discord, a Bash, the McCree Flash, because that's what they're able to do. If Fate gets in there when he's trying to access that backline, he can get taken out rather quickly. That's a two-player EMP that comes out from Lip. That'll be Monk with the Transcendence in response.
That's a classic Lip EMP as well. Hit the front line and try and eliminate it quickly. Unfortunately, in a world where Transcendence exists and is going to be used judiciously by Monk, it's a little bit hard to make that work. You know, oddly enough, Lip face some scrutiny about, you know, his EMPs not connecting on that many people, and you know, it kind of makes sense if you just want to get rid of a D.Va or hit the Wrecking Ball with it, but it doesn't make sense against the Transcendent. You've got to get that set.
Ditching the Sombra, so now we'll see Lip on the Hangzhou. So
this is an ultimate breach, surely.
Hangzhou Tracer, yeah, I mean, this is when you're able to kind of spot out Jinmu, right, with some Sonics, as Lee Jagan has been playing the Lucio now for a little bit. Really good against the McCree at range, trying to get a pick. That's the downside of Hangzhou. He does have the kind of dash when he jumps, but close range, he's just not as effective.
He got discorded. Shanghai Dragons, though, highest teamfight win rate when down one player in the entire league. I don't know about being down two. That might be a different story, though. Fate is picked off, and Leave is looking good. Looking real good.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's got his back turned to the Shanghai spawn with players coming out of it. He's got to be careful, and sure enough, he just gets domed by Lit from behind as Void now uses the grab as Shanghai feels like they can turn it.
I mean, they lose.
Which they definitely can. They have more players, yeah.
But Monk just plucks Izayaki out of the mix here. He has another Transcendent, so we'll see what happens with that self-destruct coming over the top. Pulse Bomb doesn't care about the Transcendence. Perfect target for Fletter onto Nisha. Leaves having to deal with Lip, though. The Deadeye comes in clutch, and now he's Peepo leaving because Fletter runs him down on that low ground. Lee Jae-gon hit with a hack right now, so he's going to be stuck to the cart for the most part here. This is messy, very scrappy, but the Dragons are on the move still.
That's the type of playstyle that Chengdu thrives in, though. Messy, scrappy, you know, taking fights 3-on-3, you know, as players are running back. I mean, that's where Chengdu excels, where they can let that individual skill these players have.
You can't play Hangzhou against this team.
Yeah, they get a kill on the Lip again.
Again, just completely rolled. Very diveable target, and the Hunters know exactly how to deal with it. 3-player EMP, crucially, Flatter's caught in that, so he has no recall opportunity. Jinmu slinks away with a sliver of health left. And now the Hunters are really stabilizing. 2 minutes is on the clock here for the Dragons. They've got to adjust. They've got to adapt now.
So since we've seen them bring in the McCree against this Winston-based composition, we've seen, you know, 2 switches with supports from Shanghai. Void has gone from D.Va to Zarya, then back to D.Va. And then we've seen changes with the DPS line, and there has not been payload progress. So clearly this is, you know, bothering the Shanghai Dragons in some capacity, right? That, you know, it did on Gibraltar, and clearly it is here right now.
Curious that this is how they choose to try and deal with it. Dragon Strike looks real pretty, I'll give you that, but it's more adornment than anything else. Izayaki gets piled drove on, and Monk's gonna go down here. That's a pulse bomb. He was close to a Transcendent too. Here's a window for the Dragons. They can make something happen here. Fate, Primal Rage. It's time to go. Straight towards the brig. He careens as Nisha cannot deal with the rage of the Scientist, and Lei Young is desuited. He gets a self-destruct in the nick of time, and Fate wants to chase. They get Lei Young out of the picture. There'll be no remake, no D.Va. And now the Dragons can set themselves up for a crack at a map win and match point setup.
And I feel like this was the best opportunity for the Hunters because of where the cart has to get to. You know, 1 or 2 fights. You know, you make the cart to get around the corner for the Dragons, you're in great shape. As Fleden out, we'll go over to the Reaper here towards the end of this map. His Leave is going to ditch to the McCree and go to Tracer. So, interesting. The McCree seem to work. A little bit of an easier dive target here, especially when you have to play in this close quarters. So maybe it feels like you get more work done on Tracer.
There's another Dragon Strike ready to go. See if he can force some positioning here. This Hangzhou, it's hard to see how much of an impact he's really been able to have so far. Okay! Fine! That is, look, it doesn't quite abide by the William Tell school of archery, but I think it'll do the job here for the Dragons. Beautiful headshot. Now the Transcendence has to be used here by Monk. It's desperation. 4-player EMP connected by Jinmu, though. Not too shabby. They get rid of Izayaki here. The Dragons, just when they look like they had a real opportunity, the door might be getting shut in their face. Fate does well to stay alive here, but we're down to a minute 20. Void's in trouble. He has to self-destruct, and Fate sees Monk. He dives on the Zen, but Lever's going to be there to peel and respond. Still he gets the Primal Rage. He gets rid of Monk, and the Dragons have the numbers to go forward with now. Matt Leaves in trouble. Sound Barrier's going to be in play now. A Summon has to touch Leave. A Pulse Bomb stuck to the card, but the Dragons disperse and then return. That's a 3rd map under the belt for the Dragons. 1 away from victory here in a Coca-Cola Summer Showdown Tournament.
And Chengdu looked like they had figured it out with that McCree swap from the point A to point B, but as soon as they had to swap off of it there towards the end, Shanghai able to get the cart rolling. Big EMP by Lip here towards the end.
The Dragons looked a little shaky at times. The Hangzhou pick unconvincing, but they come up with the goods when it really counts, and that's the hallmark of a champion. The Hunters now have to avert a series ending far earlier than they would have liked. Stick around, everybody. This may well be match point coming up here for the Dragons. They're going for the throne.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
The Chengdu Hunters knew what they were walking into when they opted into this kind of game. They knew what they'd be facing in the Shanghai Dragons, especially for a crack at a title. But I don't know, Matthew, if they expected just this level of resistance. The Dragons, again, they take things to another level. And Chengdu were supposed to find success on, the hybrid and escort type maps. Those are in their wheelhouse. They have such good records on them so far. Those records have been crushed by the Dragons in this series.
Yes, they're making some changes, Chengdu, here, going into what potentially could be the final map in this series. You see Lei Young seems a little bit tired there. As they'll bring in Eamon for Gaga and Evital for Nisha. So the last time they played Nepal was in their kind of decider match to get into the Summer Showdown Tournament. They ended up playing it in Game 5 against Seoul Dynasty, which they ended up playing, with Gaga in. So I wonder if this is some type of, strategy. Maybe they saw there on Route 66. They feel like they can change something up here by putting Eamon in. That can give them an edge.
So, I mean, we have seen Eamon a couple times here. They play him a fair bit actually through the qualifiers, do the Hunters. And, I mean, one of the beauties of this team is you have so much interchangeability between heroes, right? Across their DPS, you have 2 incredible Sombra players, and you have 2 incredible Wrecking Ball players. We see Gaga obviously do a little bit more Reinhardt, and a lot of Winston in the mix there. But Eamon is definitely Mr. Wrecking Ball, and has been for quite some time, and he is still sharp. It looks like finally the Hunters have accepted that they need to bring out their secret weapon against the Dragons. They've decided that Shanghai are worthy of being graced by Eamon's presence here. But make no mistake, this guy is, probably still the best Wrecking Ball player in the world. That might not be a stretch here. This Hunters team have a embarrassment of riches to leverage. And, I mean, not a moment too soon, Matt. They must win this map.
And I don't know if it's going to be for the ball. I would imagine it would be something else. I feel like Gaga's Wrecking Ball has been quite good.
You don't think Orisa, do you?
I was thinking that's kind of where my mind was going, is like they've been, excelling with these slower base, like McCree kind of comps with Torbjorns and stuff. Maybe they try and do like some Sim Orisa type of thing, kind of, go with some of the stuff that North America has been running. Gaga does play some Orisa as well, so not sure if that's really what this switch is about. We'll find out as soon as we get into game, though.
So the stats between Gaga and Eamon, obviously a slightly smaller sample size. It's like a 70-30 split, I think, in playtime. Gaga's stats are slightly better, but you have to ask, what kind of intangibles you get from a real veteran of this roster, someone who's been in the league since, 2019, and has been making waves ever since then. It's a big substitution, right? Subbing your main tank is something that very few teams do. It's a gambit, make no mistake. But for the Hunters, I think every move they ever make is a gambit, Matt. They live in that kind of environment.
Your main tank in a match like this, this is not just kind of like just another game, right? I mean, this is, your season. It's a championship on the line. To bring in a different main tank there towards the end is really risky. In my opinion. So when Eamon has been in, we've seen him play mostly ball, like 28% ball, then a little bit of the Orisa. I would find it quite odd. I feel like because, Gaga's ball has been pretty good. It's gotten you to this point. You've played Gaga the entire time you're in the tournament thus far. I don't know what Eamon provides you here. The one thing I will say is the only control map that they do win is the one in this series. So it's not like they're a fantastic control team, at least here in the tournament amongst the top 4. So you can maybe justify a little bit of a risk. I think it's a huge shakeup here, bring in a new main tank.
Okay, so to be clear, the stats are really, really, really close between these two. Eamon has slightly higher eliminations per 10 at 19.7 to Gaga's 18.9, but everything else is like really, really similar. It might be a playstyle thing as well as Eamon is just unbelievably aggressive as a Wrecking Ball. So let's use the eye test here, and the Hunters have to make this work. That is clear. The Dragons are using this Echo against the Pharah. We theorize that Echo can really mess up Pharah's day if played properly, but Jinmu gets the better of Fletter early on here. This is going to be a mess. You see Eamon is he's ready to play. He come off the bench hot, Matt.
I mean, he is like the OG Wrecking Ball, right? You kind of think about the players in the league. When Chengdu first came in, he is like kind of their rock star player, fan favorite, where he was just playing the Wrecking Ball no matter what. So he clearly knows his hero just about better than everybody else, and Chengdu will get the point first. You do have Jinmu making the change over to the Echo straight away, so I do like the swap over to the Echo, like you mentioned. I think the Echo can definitely be advantageous against the Pharah in the sky. especially being able to, duel the Pharah and the Mercy.
Yeah, so he gets the first kill, but still, it's a concession, right, to how dangerous it is for him to play. Okay. Leader got lucky to get a heal there. It really sort of muffles the efficiency or effectiveness of that focusing beam. Lip is very, very low. It has the MP build up here. It's 37%. Manual hack on Lei Young. He's brought down to the ground, and even the healing of Yveltal can't keep him alive. So that's a D-suit. Here's that EMP now. Amon is, well, it looks like it was slapped, but he got hacked in midair, and he gets picked up. Surely, this is where Shanghai get back in control.
Yeah, it's Amon who gets solo EMP'd, and he gets slapped as he's coming down. But you get a res, you have a nano boost here onto Jinmu, keeping it alive. That'll be a minefield and an EMP from Leave coming in.
This is, it's been a scrap fest from start to finish, but Amon, he gets to the end of the line there eventually. The Dragons lose the point to start with, and it's been, God, feels like 3+ minutes of constant fighting from both teams.
Well, that's what these Wrecking Ball compositions are, right? You rarely see a comp like without a Lucio that can get into these fights in action so fast.
Right.
But with Wrecking Ball, you definitely have that.
There's no Zen, right? There's no break.
Yeah, it gets across the map instantly. I wonder if they found his translocator there. You had some, I believe it was Lip kind of walking around because he gets taken out there by Monk, so a trade of the Sombras. But yeah, it looked like his translocator Leaves probably was down.
Oh, Monk's in danger. Fate couldn't quite find the pile driver angle. He'll stay on the point though, and the Dragons remain in control. These Wrecking Balls are so hard to kill in absence of any sort of anti-tank mechanics. Jinmu wants to join the party. All right. Somebody copying the Diva there. Looking over towards Lip, but the Hunters are waiting for something. I guess a signal for them to go forward. A self-destruct here is big. Fate goes down, and the Wrecking Ball 1v1, I would assume. Except it's not a 1v1, because there was Honor and Mercy involved in that particular kill. The Dragons are stalling here. Flatter copies the Diva.
It's going to be a nano here used onto Void as the Dragons still want to commit to this. Jinmu gets a nano of his own for Chengdu. The Dragons still control the point, though, as Fleta uses a nice duplicated self-destruct to get 2.
That is beautiful stuff. Not only does he use most of his Diva life to get rid of the enemy Echo, there is so much value there, and the Dragons are already at 82%. They are coasting. And now the Hunters have got to get back here real quick and make something work with Valkyrie. Self-destructs?
Oh, it's really some of the ult investments towards the end of these fights that burn Chengdu. That's a self-destruct use, maybe a bit early by Void. There at the choke. It's all they get Fleta low. He's not able to get to any heals.
Amon, right place, right time. No doubt about it. Pile driver there. Unseats Void. Pressure on Lip now as Amon goes into what I can only assume is, spin to win mode. They found Void here. He's not getting enough healing. Izayaki, I think, didn't have the line of sight, so that's a solid D-suit that Jinmu secures with a focusing beam. And Hunters back in control here. The Dragons are a little bit staggered. This could last a while.
Well, we'll see. You do have Fate get onto the point. It's going to get slapped. They should be able to deal with them. I think everybody coming from here. But
have you met Wrecking Ball?
Just rolls away. He's going to get chased by Eamon, but they're just going to roll around each other again.
Yveltal's dead.
Yes, and you have a minefield here coming from the backside, and you're going to have an EMP, so this could be pretty bad for Chengdu.
Lip is well and truly the cat amongst the pigeons, but Amon's found him, reveals him, and there it is. Lee finds a huge pulse bomb on Izayaki. Void's able to respond here. Fate is so low. He's so low.
Duplicated ball.
Yep, Jinmu, like I said, wants to join the party. What can I say? Playing over the point now, the Hunters are at 99%. Jinmu did get knocked out of duplication, and there's that sound barrier. Izayaki doesn't benefit, but he returns to the fight. The stick, oh, beautiful stuff from Amon. That is stunning. Rolls over Fleta, but still gets taken down. He still took a lot of damage from the pulse bomb, even if he used it offensively to kill the Tracer that deployed it. And now Lee gets to run riot in this fight. Izayaki gets an Anubis on towards Void, and Jinmu's gone down. He sleeps. Lip has to wait, force the translocate away. It's so hard for Izayaki to help out Void right now, and he gets stopped by the Hunters running into the backline. Lip is still in the fight, and Lei Young gets desuited here. Fleta might be causing problems on the Tracer. He's accosted by Leap at the side of the point, and Lip is slapped, but the Dragons have the numbers, and Fleta, he gets 2 more. What a way to come alive in the final moments of this round. There's more work to be done, but Fleta's looking pretty darn good. He does spot Monk there on the stairs, but feels the Doomfist and Ball are probably more important targets. 99 to 99, and don't get any closer than this, but the Dragons have the point right now, and the Hunters need to keep filtering in. Jinmu needs to find an insta-kill on this Wrecking Ball somewhere, and he gets it! He gets lit! Self-destruct goes over the top there, and Void tries to avoid it. It's going to be Monk going down. The trademark aggression of Lee Jae-gon gets a huge kill. Fate finds Leave. The Trace is out of the mix now. Jinmu goes deep, deep, deep for the Moira. He can't quite finish his Iyaki in time. He's forced away from the point, and Lee Jae-gon again takes him out. Amon's able to find a minefield kill on Void, though, and Fate is a little bit in a stall position right now. The Hunters have the numbers on the point here, and Lip returns. Here's a minefield, though, and a sound barrier. This is scary for the Hunters, Matt. They need to wait on Monk's nano boost, and they give it to Yveltal? What?
A nano Lucio?
I don't think that was the plan at all.
No, and Leave actually gets hacked off to the side. So now it's just Jinmu on the point. He uses a Meteor Strike, trying to get just about anything. So he's not able to deal with the supports. It's just aiming on the point, and he gets hacked.
Down for the count.
And overtime is done. The Dragons, an exhausting first round. Both teams, they're not leaving anything to chance. Fleder getting a couple of crucial kills, off the rip as he comes back from spawn, I think is just so massive. And you've got to wonder what could have been with Monk and that nano boost. Another boostio. I mean, it's almost karma. That's what we saw at the end of the Fuel match against the Hunters. Is that an omen?
It's just chaos between these two teams right now. Like, aiming into the game has just sped the pace up even further. And it's just kind of, it's devolved into fights everywhere. I mean, it's so difficult, I imagine, for the off-tanks to decide what to do, protect the backline, try and dive on in. We get to see a replay here. This is like the self-destruct over the top that connects with 2 from Fleder.
Incredible.
But when we get back into game, you have Jinmu on the Pharah again. So he comes out on the Pharah, and just like the last round, you'll see Fleder start things off on the Echo. This is where Jinmu actually ended up making the swap in the end.
This is it. The Hunters have to show everything they have left. Jaegon gets hit. I think that was the ground splash from the rocket. A lot of damage from Izayaki on the Jinmu, forces him to back away for a moment, but he survives that, gets healed up, and the Hunters start on the front foot here.
I actually think he may have used the concussion to knock him into the rocket he had lined up. Kind of like, conked him and then just got it direct after he got him low. But Jinmu up in the sky. It's quite interesting that he switched off of the Pharah even though they got that first kill in the last one. I think the Echo is definitely the safer of the two choices. As gets taken out, but Fled knocked off the side.
2 seconds. That was all he needed for his flight cooldown, and the kill zone there is quite high up. Unlucky stuff there for Fleder. He got rid of the Wrecking Ball, but at what cost? Lee Jae gone down to a pulse bomb of all things. He's really being focused here early in this round. A big early lead for Chengdu. They're over a third of the way home.
And Fate is up top. He gets slapped. So, I mean, this is the chaos I was talking about, right? Like, we saw like one team fight, and then now it's just kind of players spread out all over the map because there's so much pick potential with the Pharah damage, the Wrecking Ball, the Tracer, right, landing the pulse bombs, like even the pick potential at range and just spread out from the team. So, yep, you lose Lip here before this next one kicks off. So what happens now? Do you wait if you're Shanghai? I mean, they're going to get like 80% of the point before we get another actual fight.
This is unreal. The Hunters are 1 round away from losing this entire series. And they come out here. Jinmu goes to the Pharah. They just go back to basics, or Chengdu basics, which is very complicated. It's hieroglyphics for anybody else. But it's working in a big way, and the Dragons are at risk of getting shut out here. This is astonishing. Jinmu is a barrage, waiting for his chance to let that one rip, and the Dragons have to know what's coming.
It's going to be a nano here on the Fleda, though.
Disintegrates. Fleder able to find that kill and has a duplicate here. Sees Young says, I don't actually want the Diva. And they get the Resurrect on Monk, which is pretty darn big, but in the meantime, they've lost Jinmu, so he's not returning for this fight, and Monk has no help. He can't hit Fleder. And Fleder's going to have both supports for one there.
They get it to 99, though. I mean, what? They win one fight and get like 3 or 4 picks, so they get it to 99. So even though you don't win that one there at the end, it's still fantastic for Chengdu. And you have a rocket barrage self-destruct here, but now we lose Leave. Let's see if they can kind of turn it around. Shanghai with the same type of stuff. This is, I think, probably where you definitely value having the Echo and the
absolutely
Tracer. It's a little bit safer, I think, than this Pharah. Like, if the Pharah doesn't get any picks, the barrage isn't the most useful of ults without the nano. As here we go, a little mini game between the two Wrecking Balls.
The ball is really checking each other. Maybe hoping for like a weird knockoff. Izzyaki coming from every different angle to try and pressure this Farah. All the mercy. Now, though, might have bitten off a bit more than he can chew. Fletter's able to find Evil Tile, and we do see Izzyaki go down as we expected. But Amon can't get anything more than that done. He goes down to a pulse bomb, and Lee gets chased off. I'd be scared if I was... Oh, I mean, I would be scared, but I've got Lee.
Void. He almost Steamax Void. He gets Void down to like half HP, and here comes Chengdu Hunters. Yeah, here come the Hunters.
Jimmy just sprinting in, schlepping his way towards the point. And here come the Hunters. They know they can retake here and potentially win the round. Void hacked and removed. It's all too easy at this point now, and Late Young's going to be the one that gets the nano boost, and he just flattens Void. But Evital and Amok have gone down already. This is not good at all. For the Hunters, they've lost that mobility, and now the Dragons could clamber all over them. Flatter has them corralled back in the corner, and this is getting out of hand. About 80% for the Dragons, and they're not done.
Yeah, and what do you have to work with if you're the Hunters? Nothing massive. You're going to have Pulse Bomb, you're going to have a Minefield, and Self-Destruct, that's it. Shanghai in a great position to hold here. Now the bomb and the Minefield to knock players off of the point, and then Lip with a big Pulse Bomb.
One team fight to rule them all. It's time to go. Leaf has a Pulse Bomb there, but he's pressured down and has to recall a little earlier than he would have liked. He forces Void away, and his mind's on the point here. That lets the Hunters get back in control to a degree. Fate goes over the edge. Flatter's hacked. Oh, no! Not like this, Chengdu, no! The Dragons set up for victory there at the start of the fight. They lose Fate early, but even with a hacked Echo, they push the Hunters away. And Matt, these aren't the Dragons that want to sit on a Horde of Gold. These are the Dragons that want to soar higher than anybody else, and now they do. What a fantastic showing from them here, and what heartbreak for the Hunters.
Yeah, back-to-back tournament wins here for the Shanghai Dragons, really cementing their spot at the top of the Overwatch League. A rough end for the Hunters, but I think they proved a lot of people wrong in what people think about this team. The chaos at the end there, though, we were talking a little bit about it. You play at that type of pace. You've made forced mistakes on the opponents. You also end up having some mistakes of your own. Is like both Minefields end up used by the point. I think Eamon rolled onto the point to get a touch, but then obviously took some damage and got off. But yeah, I think obviously Shanghai, they are the top dogs right now. I think Chengdu, what they showed you though throughout this whole event, is that they have the talent to challenge these teams up at the top. They start to put together, this talent with some more teamwork, kind of like we're seeing a lot of now. When get more consistent, these will be series that will be much closer. Even this one, I mean, it's a 4-1, but still some close maps in there.
And you've got to hand it the coaching staff of the Dragons. They come up with such a ridiculous adaptation. Literally 24 hours after the games that happened sort of yesterday, they get a feel for how to sort of deal with this Hunters team that pushed them all the way to the brink. And now it looked a little easier, I have to say. Some key changes, and I've got to be honest with you, one of the biggest parts of this, and as our player of the match presented by Xfinity, has to go to the DPS Dynamo Fletter. I mean, we see him, Matt, on the Reaper at times. This was one of the bigger changes we see from the Dragons, and it seems so elementary, right? Not the most subtle choice here, but for Fletter, Reaper seems to be just the answer to what the Hunters are bringing.
Yeah, I mean, when he was on the Reaper, Tracer, the Pharah, even some of the Echo there at the end, huge difference maker for the Shanghai Dragons. And he kind of always is, right? Last year's MVP, still playing at that type of level on so many different heroes. And I know that final map, that double kill with the self-destruct was huge.
That's after he kills Jinmu on Echo, by the way. So it's 3 kills, but it's this here. I mean, I'm sorry, just throws the bomb on in there. The amount of value that you are getting from Fletter, there's a reason why there's a skin that is made in him. There's a reason why this man was the MVP last year. What he did, even for a team that didn't even win the grand final. Let me make that clear. Insane stuff. 12.1 final blows per 10 minutes on Reaper. This guy consistently putting up ridiculous numbers. And again, some really big Death Blossoms. Who would have thought that the answer, in some sense, to what Chengdu were bringing was to go to, to something very straightforward, very simple like Reaper. But I've got to say, those last moments, Matt, bringing Amon in for that last map, it threw everything into chaos. That's this pure aggression. Yeah. It looks like all of a sudden there was a different quality about the Hunters. but it's a double-edged sword. That incredible play that lets them, take the first round to 99 is that same quality that forces them to lose track of maybe the objective and be forced off. That's heartbreaking stuff for this team who's come so far and is still looking for that first stage title.
I think, though, you look, obviously we talk about how Chengdu played, and they played great, and, having some, chaos come into it. What is next for the Dragons? So you kind of look at this team's resume currently and even the franchise, right? The only thing eluding this team now is winning the entire Overwatch League, is that championship at the end. You win the back-to-back tournaments here. They've won the most tournaments now throughout the Overwatch League, and they're starting to get a lead on teams, a pretty healthy one. The only thing they don't have is that final trophy at the end. I think that's really kind of what's going to define this team's season, right? They've made all the tournaments. They made all the finals. They got to be there at the end. You kind of look at how well they're playing right now. They have to keep that motivation up. They have to keep this play up, because they have a huge target on their back with the rest of the league now, whether it be, in the West or the East. Everybody knows the team to beat now is the Shanghai Dragons.
And the trajectory they've been on is just so impressive. And they go from strength to strength, Matt. There's still, of course, one more tournament cycle left, one more chance to take a title. But for now, the honors go to the Shanghai Dragons, the first team since the NYXL to win 2 in a row. An incredible feat, an incredible performance. It's been such a pleasure and a treat to cast this match. We're going to step aside for the moment. When we return, we will hear some words from the victorious last year's MVP. It'll be Fleta.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Go to takemetomanoa.org today.
Welcome to Watchpoint Post Show presented by IBM. We're joined now by our player of the match, Fleta from Shanghai Dragons. Fleta 선수, 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
How are you feeling that now? How are you feeling right now? Another great win from the Shanghai Dragons. You guys just won the tournament. 일단 인터뷰하시기 전에 지금 소감 말씀 부탁드릴게요. 이번에 이제 두 번째로 또 다시 토너먼트를 우승하게 되셨는데 어떠신가요 지금?
일단 2연속 우승을 토너먼트를 하게 돼서 일단 기쁘기도 하고요. 다들 많이 열심히 했는데 그 보상받은 것 같아서 기분 좋고 2연속을 했는데 또 첫 번째 토너먼트는 우승을 안 한 게 또 여기서 아쉽게 느껴지기도 하고 그렇네요. 네.
I mean, I definitely feel great. You know, this is our second tournament win, following up with the Junjiao's tournament. Everyone on our team really tried our best, gave it our all. So it really feels good to get another tournament win for the Summer Showdown. After just winning 2 tournaments, I mean, I do sort of feel bad that we didn't win the main melee and getting that perfect 3 tournament wins. But other than that, I'm feeling very great. All right, so today's match, Dragons have been, you know, switching a lot of. They were having a lot of hero switches throughout the whole match, especially you and Lip, the DPS lineup. Were you guys trying to find the best comp to sort of counter the Hunters, or what was your reasoning for that? 첫 번째 질문은 오늘 경기에서 상하이 팀에서 특히나 좀 이제 딜러진들이 이제 뭐 프레타 선수와 립 선수가 특히나 좀 영웅 교체가 좀 굉장히 많이 이루어진 것 같아요. 다른 때보다 좀 그거에 대한 이유가 좀 특별한 이유가 좀 있을까요?
일단 어제 청두전을 생각하면서 전략을 짰을 때 청두가 아무래도 저희하고 아시아권이기 때문에 굉장히 많은 연습을 같이 해와서 저희의 볼솜트나 이런 그런 거에 대한 전략을 많이 짜왔을 걸 예상을 해서 저희가 이제 손보라 리퍼나 이런 리퍼를 많이 이용한 템포 조합을 더 이용해서 상대 템포를 꼬고 계속해서 상대 픽 고민을 하게 만드는 걸 유도하자고 해서 물론 이 조합이 저희도 연습을 한 번도 안 해본 조합이긴 하지만 저희는 할 수 있다고 믿어서 그게 성공적으로 들어갔던 것 같아요.
방금 연습을 안 했다고 하셨나요? 연습을 조금밖에 안 했다고 하셨나요?
오늘 손보라 리퍼 조합은 스크림 때 한 번도 안 했고요. 그냥 어제 그 상의를 하는 중에 그냥 이 조합으로 상대 조합을 계속해서 픽을 바꾸게 강요를 하자고 해서 그냥 즉흥적으로 하게 된 조합입니다.
Right. So, you know, after watching our plays against the Chengdu Hunters yesterday, you know, we did realize that Chengdu Hunters and us, both the Shanghai Dragons, were both from the same region, the Asia region. So we did practice a lot. So coming into today's match, we knew that the Chengdu Hunters will probably assume that we'll use the Ball Sombra Tracer composition, or we'll probably mainly stick to that. So we wanted to sort of have them guess our composition and our play style. So coming into today's match, we actually haven't practiced the Sombra Reaper composition coming into today's match. We just sort of talked about it, but when we were having the meeting, we thought that was the best way. Using the Sombra Reaper, a sort of very fast, aggressive play style would sort of will sort of catch Chengdu Hunters off guard. And even if we didn't practice, you know, going into it, we thought this was the best strategy and the best chance for us to clutch a win against the Chengdu Hunters. Very interesting. Okay, all right. So my next question for you, Fleta, is you guys are the first team ever to come back to become the back-to-back tournament champions this season. Can we expect Shanghai Dragons to win the Countdown Cup as well? 자, 두 번째 질문은 조금 더 재밌는 질문입니다. 오늘 이제 우승으로 인해서 상하이 팀이 이번 시즌 최초로 6월 토너먼트 그리고 또 이번 서머 쇼다운까지 연속으로 이제 우승을 하게 된 팀이 처음인데요. 지금 이거를 봐서는 이제 플레타 선수가 생각하시기에는 다음 토너먼트도 당연히 상하이 팀이 우승할 거라고 생각을 하시나요?
일단 다음 토너먼트 같은 경우에는 이제 좀 결승전 이런 거 말고 밴이 다시 생기는 거기 때문에 좀 힘들 수도 있겠지만 이제 저희가 지금 좀 여러 조합을 다 사용할 수 있는 상태로 저희가 진화를 했다고 해야 되나? 연습을 많이 했기 때문에 그 밴도 좀 예전보다는 많이 극복할 수 있을 것 같아서 이번에 최초로 토너먼트 3연패 도전해서 이길 수 있을 것 같아요. 우승도 할 수 있을 것 같아요.
토너먼트 3연패요? 죄송합니다. 잘 안 들려가지고 죄송합니다. 한 번만 다시 말씀해 주시죠.
네, 3연승. 네.
3연승을 할 수 있겠다.
네.
최초로 3연승을 이제 2연승이 아니고 3연승까지 할 수 있겠다. 알겠습니다. 죄송합니다. 감사합니다. Alright, so Next, the Countdown Cup. Coming up for the Countdown Cup, you know, everyone knows that there is going to be hero bans. So I believe it is going to be a lot more difficult going into Countdown Cup because of that hero ban. But, you know, I feel like the Shanghai Dragons, our team, sort of evolved to a team where we could really utilize a lot of different compositions. So even if the hero bans come in, we'll try harder to sort of use our strength of being able to utilize a lot of different hero compositions and sort of try our best to not only to sort of continue on this tournament winning streak. All right. I just want to sort of follow up with that, Fleta. I mean, like I said, you guys are the back-to-back tournament champions for this season. Can you confidently say that the Dragons are the best team in the league? Considering, I mean, you just said that, you know, Dragons, your strength now is sort of being able to use so many compositions. 자, 그럼 제가 이 질문을 다음 질문 하기 전에 하나 더 여쭤보고 싶은데, 플레타 선수도 그러면 지금 당연히 지금 이제 2연승을 하셨고 또 방금 말씀하셨다시피 상하이 팀이 너무나 다양한 조합을 이제 다룰 수 있는 팀으로 이제 진화를 했기 때문에 지금 상하이가 오버워치 리그에서 최고의 팀이라고 좀 자신할 수 있나요?
다양한 조합도 할 수 있고 개인적으로 팀적으로도 저희 팀보다 아직 팀합이 맞거나 이런 소통적인 부분에서 저희 팀이 굉장히 잘하고 있다고 생각을 하기 때문에 제일 오버워치 리그에서 최강이라기보다 굉장히 상위권 팀이라고 생각을 하고 있습니다.
Alright, not only can we use a lot of different compositions, but we have that team synergy and just the communication is there for the Shanghai Dragons. So we're a really strong and really formidable team. I wouldn't say we are the top #1 team, but I could definitely say that we are very, very high up there in the rankings. Alright, my last question for you, Fleta, is not really a question. I mean, you guys are the champions for the Summer Showdown, so as I congratulate you on that, is there anything that you want to say to your fans? 자, 마지막으로 이제 질문보다는 당연히 오늘의 우승자, 우리 서머 쇼다운의 우승자인 상하이 드래곤즈와 또 오늘의 플레이어 오브 더 매치인 우리 또 플레타 선수이기 때문에 마지막으로 하실 말씀 있으면 제가 통역을 해드리도록 하겠습니다.
일단 아시아권 팬분들은 이제 아침부터 보시느라 정말 고생 많으셨고 또 북미 쪽도 열심히 응원해 주셔서 정말 감사드리고 또 이제 저희가 토너먼트 2연속 우승을 하게 되었는데 여기서 그치지 않고 다음 토너먼트까지 우승을 해서 팬분들한테 더 부담을 드릴 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
Alright, so to the Asia Shanghai Dragons fan, thank you so much. I know you guys were up early rooting for us and cheering us on, so thank you so much for that. And that sort of goes well for the Western fans of the Shanghai Dragons. Thank you so much for always being there for us and rooting us on. I know this is our second win of the tournaments, and we're not going to stop there. We're going to continue on, do our best to get to win the Countdown Cup, to continue on this winning streak for the tournament, and we'll try our best to give you guys better results to the end. Thank you guys so much, Shanghai Dragons fans. Alright, with that being said, that is it for the interview. Big congratulations again to Fleta. Thank you so much. 플레타 선수 인터뷰에서 너무 감사드리면서 너무나도 축하드립니다.
네, 감사합니다. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Alright, let's head back to the desk.
There you have it. Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Fleta. The Shanghai Dragons, they become the second Overwatch League franchise ever to win back-to-back stage titles, and they join the San Francisco Shock in winning 5 Overwatch League titles. Ooh. Shock, of course, they won the championship 2 times, so you know that's worth something. But they both have 5 titles now, so if you're a Shanghai Dragons fan, 5 stage titles, that's nothing to feel bad about at all. What an incredible match from them as well. We had a fantastic run-up here in the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown with so many great elimination matches, but this finals matchup, a bit one-sided to be honest. The Shanghai Dragons, they came out strong playing that Reaper Lucio composition, as Fleta hinted towards. That was the secret sauce for the Shanghai Dragons in this matchup itself. That being said though, Costa, Danny, the Chengdu Hunters, they started off strong. Of course, they came out on Ilios and won that initial first map, which really kickstarted an interesting first half here, Danny. With the Chengdu Hunters, they were always in it. We saw Nisha subbed in on the main support role. We saw Leave, Monk. They all had fantastic individual performances in the first half here.
They did. They really started off strong, and you know, on this map, you know, the first round, second round, all the players, they really gave it their all. Like Jinmu, honestly, they won the Pharaoh 1v1 against Fleta, so that was looking really good. Going into the second round, Monk and even Leave on Ash was really good and very exciting to watch. So the first map, control map, it was just all Chengdu, and then we go into Anubis. Am I still talking about Anubis, Johnny? Yes, we are. All right, I'm sorry.
You can talk about them how much you
want. I
want.
mean, this was
just
very close.
It.
I think.
Just
right,
go, Danny.
Okay. All right, guys. This is what I think. So this was I think this was what this was like the map where Shanghai Dragons sort of were trying to like make adjustment according to Chengdu Hunters' playstyle. They were switching up a lot of heroes, and you know, I think Cussa, you mentioned this. They had some ultimates, but they weren't going in aggressive. They were a little bit more careful. Shanghai Dragons, but at the end, with those ultimates, they were able to clutch the win against Chengdu Hunters for this map. And then I think Eichenwald is where everything shifted and Shanghai Dragons started to dominate. Like Fleta said in his interview, I was actually very surprised. They actually haven't practiced this Lucio, Ana, Reaper, Winston composition at all. They just talked about it in the meeting, knowing that Chengdu Hunters, you know, they have been practicing a lot with them. So they sort of just talked about it, came in, they used it, it worked, and they looked really great. I mean, I think this map, Eichenwald, was where everything just turned and Shanghai Dragons just like started going crazy.
Yeah.
It sort of felt like the Shanghai Dragons came into this series recognizing that they could probably win in the mirror matchup, playing the Wrecking Ball, even the Pharaoh at times. Obviously, they lost that first map. And I think that was sort of the catalyst for the decision of, we are a better team in terms of adaptability and flexibility and knowing how to work together even when there is this chaos and changing of compositions. And I think that's what Shanghai Dragons put on a clinic of they're like, hey, let's just play the Reaper, Sombra, Lucio, and then force the Chengdu Hunters to try and catch up to us, try and understand how to beat it, try and adapt on the fly. And the Hunters, they just couldn't really do it. They couldn't find a solution. They couldn't ever catch their footing again. And that's why I think as we went further into the series, Chengdu Hunters just started throwing everything they could at the wall to see what would work. And, you know, I think the prime example is in that final Nepal, they sub in Among. When they were too far out of the Chengdu zone, they had to do everything they can to get this win, and they're just like, put in Among, make it chaotic, and that map, that was a chaotic map. It was all over the place. Everyone was just popping off left, right, and center, but Shanghai Dragons get the win at the very end.
Absolutely. I mean, we as you mentioned, there was a ton of hero swaps going around, starting with Route 66, and there was that reluctancy almost from the Chengdu Hunters to sub into some of these heroes that we talked about. Meanwhile, the Shanghai Dragons, Lip was playing the Hangzhou, Lee Jae-gon was on Zenyatta for a little while, I think. The Chengdu Hunters, we asked this question all the time, like, hey, is Leave going to swap over to the McCree? He did so on Route 66, didn't get a ton of value. So the Chengdu Hunters, they tried to make a couple of adjustments here early on Route 66, but the Shanghai Dragons, as you said, Costa, they just were willing to deal with it. Lip was on this Hangzhou and stuck with it, landing headshots like that. Oh my lord. Wow, that's what they do to me in ranked, and I get very upset about it. But Lip does it in stage rounds as well. Nepal, as you mentioned, and this is where Amon come in, and it was just like, it was just a circus, as Mitch referenced on the cast, but Amon is the conductor. So many amazing moments on this map. It was back and forth. This shrine round felt like it lasted forever. We go over to Village. It's back and forth. Chengdu Hunters, they go up 99% to 0. And they aren't able to close it out, Costa. I mean, that's what you were watching this round itself. What were your feelings about the Chengdu Hunters in that final round that Shanghai ended up winning?
I feel like that final round was a great embodiment of the entire series or the entire weekend. When they have Jinmu on that Pharah, they look great, and when they get control, they look great, and that's what happened at the start of that round. Everything was working for them. They were getting up ultimates, but as soon as they lost control, Fleta switches over to that Echo. He starts shutting down Jinmu, forces Jinmu off of that Pharah. It starts tumbling down, and the coordination, and I guess that punching power that I think when Jinmu's not on Pharah just isn't there, and the Shanghai Dragons just claw their way back into that round, and then it ends in, I would say, a pretty tragic C9. I think they were up 6v5. Obviously, they were pressured off the point, but not like this. I don't think any of us wanted that round to end just like that. I wanted it to go out in a bang, but unfortunately not. But Shanghai Dragons definitely deserved the win today and in the entire Summer Showdown.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're, as you said, not like this. I think we were all hoping for a banger of Nepal as well, and maybe going to that third round on Sanctum. We could have seen these two teams go head-to-head, but instead, the Shanghai Dragons, they lock it in. They secure the 4-1 victory here over the Chengdu Hunters. Still, though, before we move on from the Summer Showdown finals match of itself, Chengdu Hunters, as I mentioned yesterday, probably the third most successful team here in the 2021 season, because, of course, they qualified for the May Melee. They got 4th place, 2nd place here again in the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown. So, Chengdu, you gotta be pleased with this one. I know it doesn't feel good to lose in a finals. Trust me, I've been there. But you gotta be pretty happy with the big picture, what you've accomplished this season. Talking about winning, all of us got the prediction right for this series. As we take a look at the prediction, look back today, we all went with the Shanghai Dragons, we locked it in, we feel good about ourselves. Now we get to look at the prediction standings, which makes us feel a little bit worse about ourselves, because this is where you sort of feel a bit sad that this has to be the state of things. Costa on top with 75 wins so far, but there's a stage to go, Danny. There's one more stage to go.
5 below Costa. How am I gonna ever
Just
catch
like the
up?
Dragons, it's a one-horse race right now. So hopefully you guys can make a run back in the Countdown Cup, just like the rest of the league. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, Overwatch League is an anime, so you know, count your chickens before they hatch. That's how it goes.
Is that happening in anime a lot?
I don't know. I don't watch a ton of anime, to be honest. But I guess there's chickens in anime too. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they don't have chickens in anime. Anyway, that's it for the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown. But don't just turn off the stream yet, okay? Don't walk away. We got some more breakdowns just to come. Stay tuned, and we got more Watchpoint Post Show presented to you by IBM right after this.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back to the Watchpoint Post Show presented to you by IBM. We're here for the final time this Coca-Cola Summer Showdown, and we got some great analysis coming your way. Costa, what do you have for us in our Ultimate Economy presented by State Farm?
Yeah, so we actually saw this, and I talked about it a little bit beforehand, but we're going to see the Shanghai Dragons putting all their eggs in a basket and then throwing that basket at the Chengdu Hunters. So they actually had a pretty mediocre second point attack. They weren't really getting anything done, but they were just forcing the Chengdu Hunters to use ultimates. Where you can see it play out here as they use their ultimates, but you can see the ultimate advantage they have here by just looking at the top of the screen. They have 6 ultimates against the Chengdu Hunters 3. Lip comes in with the EMP, isolates Leave. Fleta TPs into the back line, uses his Death Blossom. Fade has a Primal Rage against Nano. They rallied. They just throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at the opposition team and the Chengdu Hunters, and that's what gets them over the line in this Anubis. And as much as this seems like, oh, well, obviously just bank 6 ultimates and then win the game, seems like an easy strategy, but it's actually quite hard to execute, especially if that attack didn't work, they wouldn't have won that map, and that could have been a really hard place for Shanghai Dragons to come back to. So really good patience and understanding by the Shanghai Dragons of recognizing their win conditions, that they were going to need a litany of ultimates to get that point. So big plays by the Shanghai Dragons, and that's why they are the best team in the world. I know Fleta didn't want to say we are the best team in the world.
We could say it for him.
They are the best team in the world.
Let's say they are.
Too humble.
Hands down, they are the best team in the world right now, currently.
I mean, they are literally tied for the most winningest team, with Shock, of course, with 5 titles now. So there you go. Yeah, I like that as well because, on that point before we move on as well, there are a few different ways to play Overwatch. Either you can just build your ultimates and then you just use them, get value, and that way you get an advantage because you get so much ultimate value, right? Or you just say hey, we're just gonna bide our time, we'll build 6 ultimates and then we'll execute and do our job. And I've seen plenty of teams lose with 6 ultimates. It's not fun. You feel bad afterwards. Shanghai Dragons, though, they are reliable when it comes to using their ultimates. Someone else who is reliable, it's Danny. And for our best of the day, he's actually going to kick us off here because there were so many good moments today as well. We had a great finals, even though it ended 4-1. It was back and forth, high tempo. What do you have for us, Danny, in best of the day?
Alright, I'm gonna start this off. My best of the day was actually, it happened on the last map where Shanghai clutched the win and they become the champions. But this was actually Jinmu's boop on Fleta's Echo. So I believe Fleta already used his booster. I don't know what it's called. Sorry guys, I don't know what the term is that makes Echo fly. And then he gets booped, and then he runs out of time. He doesn't. It's on cooldown, and he just falls and
that's a sad,
slowly
sad
dies.
Echo.
I think this is just so funny because it's just he sways. It just goes down so slow, and you can just see how Fleta's trying to survive, but he can't, and it just goes down and dies.
And Lee J. Gunn's just yelling at him, just fly, Fleta, fly! And Fleta's like, I can't right now!
Fly! We must go! Our people need us, not down!
Oh, no. Absolutely tragic for Fleta.
Absolutely, yeah,
tragic.
for sure. Yeah.
Well, when it rains, it pours for Fleta because my best of the day is also for Fleta. But it's also another tragic one for him. So Among returning to sender with Fleta's Pulse Bomb. So we're going to see here. This is a great play. This was brutal fight, 99-99 fight. He's like, I'm going to stick the Wrecking Ball. Great job, Fleta. Among didn't like that as much as I like that. And yeah, he sort of let him know about it.
Oh, dude, watching this in slow motion is so much funnier. Look, it's just coming towards it.
We're so sorry, Fleta. Please don't hate us. I mean...
Yeah. You're still great. We love you.
Hey, it's fine. He's player of the match.
Yeah. Happens to everyone.
Oh my, that's so good.
2020 Overwatch League MVP. Once more, he adds another personal accolade and he becomes the player of the match of the Summer Showdown Finals. I mean, I was gonna say we need to bring him back down to earth, but he's not even willing to say he's the best after he just won a stage final. So I don't know. We're just bullying Fleta at this point. We're on behalf of the entire Watchpoint desk. I'm sorry, Fleta. But until next time, we promise we'll bring out more highlights for the rest of the day next time.
Yeah.
Now, for my best of the day, it's more of a best of the weekend actually. I know I've been back and forth with this whole thing, hosting 101.
Hosting 101.
Yeah, it's
this
out.
is the last
it's
chance.
gonna insult me. Here it comes.
No, it's not going to. This is the last time I get to bring it out, So, I just there were plenty of actually lessons that we never really got to to begin with. So some of these were, of course, like YouTube chat is your friend. They make sure you keep your job. At least that's what they think in my writing there. So there's plenty of these, like Devil Monty was right, a bit of a controversial one. But, I don't know. They ran out of ink or something. I don't know. A very cheap book.
So
yeah. So there's some lessons here we didn't get to. There was another one as well that I'll get to. Sorry, it's a very long book here. So name one good thing about goats. Didn't really get to that one either. This was a very difficult one. I didn't know how to implement this one. So yeah, if the writer of this book is right here watching, like, what do you want me to do here? Name one good thing about goats? I can't do that. But what I want to bring your attention to, for my best of the day anyway, is this last one, which says that erratic comedy is a defense mechanism. The pros get paid big for a reason. And really here, what I want to highlight is just like how much we miss Zoe. Zoe, you are the absolute best. Everyone here on the Watchpoint desk, we miss you dearly. And we can't wait for you to get back into the Countdown Cup. So I think I speak for... Yeah, I think I speak for all of us when I'm just really grateful for the fact that you get to be our host every week. So of course, that's hosting 101 for you. Love that. Very good stuff.
But at the same time, Johnny, I just want to say you did a fantastic job.
Yeah, great job, Johnny.
Filling in for Zoe, honestly. Round of applause. Johnny, we love you.
I want to see Danny hosting next. I think.
Nope.
Yeah, let's get Danny. Oh, yeah. Take a bow.
Take a bow.
Speech? I've been hogging up airtime on this damn show this entire weekend. So, I mean, there's no need for speech. I mean, I need to go get water. Every time I go for water, I appear on Danny's cam all the time. Anyway, we're not closing out just yet. We got 2 more things to go, of course, and that's the standings now, concluding the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown. So let's take it off and take a look at our Eastern standings, heading into the 4th and final stage of the Overwatch League 2021 season.
Wow, already?
So interesting. I mean, the Shanghai Dragons, they are so far ahead in this one. So
they should take the
off.
I mean,
just take it off.
18 points. 10 wins, 2 losses. They literally can't. I mean, can they? I don't think they can lose that spot.
No, they can't. I don't think.
They've literally secured the #1 spot. And
wait, they're already in the playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
they're locked in. They're number
really?
1. They can forfeit all 4 matches, and they're still guaranteed to be #1.
Wait. You could have pulled out the book. Devil Monty could have come back. Shanghai Dragons just sandbagged for the final stage. A true MYXL Classic in 2018. Worked out for them.
Wait, guys.
You guys can do it too.
Guys, wait. Playoffs? Does that mean they're already in the Countdown Cup? No, right? Or is it?
No. That's the end of season playoffs. That's the end of season.
End of season. Sorry, guys. I was like, okay, what is that? Okay, sorry, guys. But I was like, okay.
As we got this up, it's very interesting because it's very tight in the middle of this. Of course, Seoul Dynasty, they have 9 league points. Chengdu Hunters have 9 league points after getting 2 this weekend as well. Of course, they got second, so they get 2 league points. That's why they have 7 wins, but 9 points. Philly at 7, Hangzhou Spark at 7. So this region is getting very spicy. If York Excelsior, they go 4-0, maybe they win, the knockout matches and qualify here, then it's all kinds of crazy over in the APAC region. So nothing decided there except for Shanghai #1. Taking a look at the season standings for the Western region, Dallas Fuel are on top. They're not guaranteed to be #1 quite yet, I believe, because Shock here, they could get 7 points and climb that Dallas Fuel sandbag or whatever. We're not going to popularize that term. I'm glad that was out of my vocabulary. Still though, same problem here. I mean, Shock, they have 9 points. Houston Outlaws, they have 9 league points. But then there's just so many teams at 8, and then Boston Uprising at 6. Taking a look at this Western region, Danny, Costa, any favorites to have a strong Countdown Cup here and make a stand for themselves here?
I think this is the time. Now is the time that San Francisco Shock, they have to wake up and then just show everyone that they are San Francisco Shock. I know my season prediction was that they're gonna go for the 3-peat, and I do not want to go bald.
Bald? I don't think anyone's ever going bald.
He put himself up for that. Danny goes bald if the San Francisco Shock doesn't win. That's what we all agreed to. We all just heard. Okay, great. I do want to hit something else real quick, Danny. Sorry, as I cut you off, I don't want you to counterclaim that.
No, that's fine.
Florida Mayhem at 10th. in the West. Who could have seen that coming? They've had a really hard season so far. I really want to see them bounce back in the Countdown Cup. They have so much talent on there. They could easily make a run in the playoffs if they sort of get their footing. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that team.
Yeah. The Western region out here playing chess, and Florida Mayhem are playing checkers. Maybe they'll come back stronger next season. We'll have to see. Florida Mayhem, they're not doing too strong. Come on, they checkmate, nothing. Okay, this is where I retire from being a host.
I was putting
this
it
is where
together.
This is where it ends. I don't want to be here anymore. Okay. That's it. For the Coca-Cola Summer Showdown, we've concluded the 3rd out of 4 stages. Don't forget the Countdown Cup starts on July 30th. So is going to be back. She's going to relieve your YouTube chat from my hosting. I can't wait to be back over by Costa, and then I can study his work and his predictions and maybe catch up to him in the prediction standings. Thank you so much for watching this weekend. Enjoy a bit of a break here. Queue up for some ranked. Try to get that SR. We're always here on Twitter. Yeah?
Johnny, when are we coming back? When are we coming back? What day?
July 30th.
July 30th. We'll
Yes.
see you guys July 30th.
See you then.
Here comes the Zoom out.
Have a good break.
Is this a love heart?
Take us me
It's a heart. It's a heart. It's a heart. It's a big heart.
A really big heart.
Bye.
Apagando las luces. Apagando las luces.
you.